Sorry, everybody. I don't know what happened to my keyboard. My grandson was tapping away on it, and somehow it was locked, and I couldn't figure out how to unlock it to get it to do anything. I tried unplugging it, plugging it back in, didn't work, so I had to grab the old keyboard. So you're going to hear a lot of clanking tonight because this is the old loud keyboard. I apologize. I'll beat him next time he's here. I'm kidding. I would never hit my grandson. Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Sorry about earlier tonight. There was a little miscommunication. Some stuff happened. I was supposed to start at 7. But the raid didn't come through, which probably was a good thing because my grandkids were still here. They didn't leave until like about, 20 minutes ago. So that would have been a problem if I would have started at 7. They would have been bursting in, causing trouble the whole time. So let's see who's here tonight. Great. Brian Ogden. Hey, what's up? Brian Ogden's here. Yeah, No Kings Rally delayed everybody. G Sharkman, what's up? Delays obvious. Gundam Zig, great to see you. Andy Gorski. Awesome. Yes, Steve Hilliard. Looks like this could get be complicated. Yeah. It's been killing time. Yeah, definitely. What's up, Jay? How's it going, Lynn? Great to see you. Michelle, Houston, we have a problem. I fixed it. I got an old keyboard running right now. I don't know. Hopefully it isn't too noisy. All right. What's Jonathan Marcos? Great to see you. NASCAR Mo. Hey, what's going on? Everything's well. Good. What's up, Kevin? Pat Hacker. Great to see you. What the F? Awesome to see you. So yeah, we're just gonna do a show tonight and see what happens. Hey, Nana, great to see you. There is a goal like there is every night. If we hit $100 in total across all platforms, super chats, Rumble rants, Cash App, PayPal, coffee, Ko-fi, whatever, super tips, coins on locals, gifted memberships on Kick or Twitch. I don't know. I don't think there's anything on X. And then what did he? Jack, my headphones feel weird too. I don't know what he was doing. He was trying on my headphones. He stretched them out or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so if we hit 100, we'll add an extra hour to the show. The show's going to be about 2 hours otherwise. When we hit 50, we'll activate Bellavision for the evening. There she is in her glory, sleeping like as usual. So unless somebody gives 25 and then we activate her automatically. That's how it works. I'm not going to oversell it tonight. Whatever. See the flight out of Brazil that blew an engine at takeoff. Made it back okay. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hey, Kelly, what's up? Good evening, everybody. Hey, Terry, great to see you. So let's just get right into the news. I'm having so many computer problems tonight. It's not even funny. Oh, look at this, Nana. Wow, thank you so much, Nana. Wow. Thank you. Oh, and Ice House says, wish I could talk more, but having some problems with his knee. It's his knee is starting to grow or something. I don't know. I get that. Yeah. Someone just dropped 50. Yes, someone just dropped 50. Thank you so much, Nanny. Thank you so much. That means Bellavision is activated for the evening, and that means we are only 50 away from adding an extra hour to the show, a first extra hour maybe of many, or maybe just one extra hour. But thank you so much. Wow. Thank you, Nana. Wow. Someone did just drop 50. Way to go. Wow. Thank you. Hey, Nana. You're amazing for taking that in stride. I try to take everything in stride. Forgot to say Bella. There she is. She's right there. Let me make sure it's everyone can see her good. I don't know why. Why she likes to hang off the end of the bed now. I don't know why she likes to do that, but there she is. She'll be there all night now. Thank you so much. You're very generous. And we are now just 50 away from adding an extra hour to the show. First extra hour or extra hour, however you want to look at it. All right. Thank you so much, Nana. Let's jump into the first story of the day. It's the Supreme Court set to hear a landmark case that could end birthright citizenship for illegal aliens and people who shouldn't get birthright citizenship anyway. Because let's be clear, the whole thing about birthright citizenship, it's for lawful permanent residents and for citizens who have kids, people who are supposed to be here. Definitely not for illegal aliens. Definitely not for visitors, travelers, sojourners, whatever that stuff. They're not supposed to have it. Gundam Zig has a link here for the shocking video. Okay, we'll look at that next. That's what we'll do. We will look at that next. That story, Gundam Zig. Okay. So they're going to hear oral arguments on Wednesday in a showdown over Trump's executive order that would end automatic birthright citizenship for illegals. And everything is the sound good. Is everything with the sound good? Because they were playing with all this stuff too. So the case Trump versus Barbara stems directly from Executive Order 14160, titled "Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship," which Trump signed on his first day back in office. So it's been over a year. This has been going on. The order directs all federal agencies, including the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security, to stop issuing citizenship documents such as passports and Social Security numbers to any child born on American soil unless at least one parent is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. I mean, that is the ruling in Juan Kim Ark that people like to cite. Juan Kim Ark's parents were permanent lawful residents, which is a green card holder today. That's what a green card holder is, a permanent lawful resident. Permanent resident. Permanent. Not temporary. Not a visitor. Not somebody who snuck across the border. Not somebody claiming asylum, because asylum is just temporary. Not somebody on TPS. None of that. Children who are born to parents who are here illegally on temporary visas, such as student, work, or tourist visas, or otherwise not subject to the full U.S. jurisdiction, would no longer qualify for automatic citizenship under the 14th Amendment Citizen Clause. That's the way it's always been. It's just that people have, we've had some really, really lazy, weird people that didn't want to actually do their work. No vacationers. The order explicitly interprets the phrase "subject to the jurisdiction thereof" to exclude those whose parents owe primary allegiance to a foreign country. That's the understanding and meaning at the time it was signed, at the time it was put into place. That's why Indians, American Indians that lived on reservations that had loyalties to the tribe, were not included in the 14th Amendment. They were excluded. Congress had to pass a statute to offer them citizenship if they wanted it. And you know what? Not all of them took it right away. Some of them waited. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is still one tribe in the U.S. that does not have automatic citizenship. They have to declare it upon birth that they want it, or something like that. The Supreme Court granted review in December after multiple lower courts, including a federal district judge and appeals court, issued nationwide injunctions blocking the policy. All lower courts have ruled so far that declared the executive order unconstitutional, citing the 1898 Supreme Court precedent in Juan Kim Ark. That's not what Juan Kim Ark says. Juan Kim Ark says his parents will lawful permanent residents. That's what this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which held a child born to U.S. Chinese immigrant parents who were legal residents at the time was a citizen. That's not what they weren't. They weren't legal residents. They were lawful permanent residents. You see how they lie and how they report it? They weren't just legal residents. They didn't just have permission to be here. They were lawful permanent residents. Oral arguments is set for Tuesday with the final decision expected late June or early July. So it's tomorrow. I thought it was Wednesday. So it's tomorrow. If the Supreme Court upholds the order, it will represent a major shift in American immigration policy, effectively ending the anchor baby incentive that encourages illegal crossings and birth tourism. We can only pray the Supreme Court will actually do the right thing here. Only a handful of countries, mostly in the Americas, grant automatic citizenship based solely on being born there. Most nations in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia determine citizenship by bloodline or require at least one parent to be a citizen or permanent resident. Juan Kim Ark's parents were permanent residents. That's the thing that's so screwed up about this. President Trump has repeatedly pointed out the national security and economic threats posed by the current system, pointing to birth tourism operations run out of China and other countries where pregnant women fly to the U.S., and specifically to give birth and secure citizenship for their children. Those children later return home but retain the ability to sponsor family members for U.S. visas or even claim benefits as adults. Kayleigh McEnany, former White House press secretary and current Fox News contributor, broke down the stakes in a recent segment. Next week, the Supreme Court is slated to revisit President Trump's Birthright citizenship executive order. It directs all U.S. government agencies to refuse issuing citizenship documents to children born to illegal immigrants or children who do not have at least one parent who is an American or a lawful permanent resident. It's a law President Trump says is in place all over the world, and he's right. You look at the map, and if he wins in court, he will effectively cripple the booming birth tourism industry. Oh, okay. We could have heard her say it.
As a Fox News alert, next week the Supreme Court is slated to revisit President Trump's Birthright citizenship executive order. Now, it directs all U.S. government agencies to refuse issuing citizenship documents to children born to illegal immigrants or children who do not have at least one parent who is an American or a lawful permanent resident. Now, it's a law President Trump says is in place all over the world, and he's right. You're looking at that map. And if he wins in court, he would effectively cripple the booming birth tourism industry. You heard me right. Now, that is described by a Senate Homeland Security Committee report in this quote: expecting mothers traveling to the United States to obtain U.S. citizenship for their children. The report goes on to say obtaining U.S. citizenship for their children is a hedge bet, a rainy day fund for a better life. And while birth tourism from China is the most common, people from countries like Russia and Mexico take advantage of it too. Birth tourism has been an issue for a long time.
And here's the thing that I want to point out that I don't think a lot of people have realized. If the Supreme Court says, no, Juan Kim Ark is good law, it's always been a law, you guys have been misinterpreting it. It actually says that you have to be a lawful permanent resident, like his parents were, that if you're an illegal alien or a visitor or whatever, coming in on a visa, work visa, anything, you're not a citizen. That's going to be retroactive. It's going to be retroactive. There's no way, two ways about it. I mean, because if they weren't citizens, if they're either citizens or they're not. And if they're not citizens, they're not citizens. They're just not. You know, that's going to have to be retroactive. So any of these birth tourism things that happen, any of the illegals that had kids and they say, oh, this illegal, they had an American kid. Guess what? Not American kids. Go back to your home country, take your kids with you. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. They're not sure. They're not saying that's what they want to do, but that's going to be the result. Because if the Supreme Court says, follows the law and says this is the way it was, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're not a citizen, you're not a citizen. You can't just say, oh, well, we're going to say because we wrongly said they could be citizens because somebody, didn't do the job correctly or didn't do something. So now we're just going to let them keep citizenship because that means citizenship is meaningless. It means it's nothing. It can just be given away willy-nilly. I have a feeling this is going to go very good for us. SCOTUS is the king. No, they just interpret the law. I mean, here's the thing is the law is what the law says. And the decision they cite as saying they granted citizenship to everybody didn't say that. It did not say it. It said his parents were lawful permanent residents, so he is a citizen. That's what it says. So, they say, oh, well, that's just everybody. No, that's not what the decision was. That's not what the decision was. The executive order cites the original intent of the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868 after the Civil War to grant citizenship to freed slaves. Trump's legal team argues the amendment was never meant to apply to children of foreign nationals who entered illegally or temporarily and remained subject to jurisdiction of their home countries. There is historical evidence from the amendment's drafters, including Senator Jacob Howard, who stated in 1866 that the clause will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States. Opponents, including the ACLU, the Asian Law Caucus, and groups representing immigrants' rights, argue that the order would create a massive number of stateless children born on U.S. soil and could retroactively cast doubt on citizenship status of millions of people who were born to illegal aliens. Yes! Yes! Exactly. Too bad they write the laws in legalese. Yes, but that's exactly the truth. They're not stateless. That's the thing. They're not stateless. They have citizenship through their parents of their home country. Anybody from any country who has whatever, they have the citizenship through their blood. If upheld, the ruling would not require a constitutional amendment or an act of Congress. It would simply affirm that the president can direct federal agencies to enforce a narrower reading of the citizenship clause through executive action. Congress could later codify the change in statute for permanence. Earlier this month, as the Gateway Pundit previously reported, investigative journalist and Government Accountability Institute President Peter Schweitzer exposed the alarming scale of China's birth tourism operations targeting the United States during his testimony before the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. Gundam Zig says, I am all in to get them all out. Me too. Me too. Peter Schweitzer exposes the birth tourism video. We're going to watch that in a second. Schweitzer detailed over 1,000 birth tourism companies in China are almost exclusively focused on facilitating births in America, potentially resulting in up to 1 million U.S. citizens being raised in the People's Republic of China. These citizens indoctrinated in China could undermine U.S. sovereignty as part of a broader asymmetric warfare strategy by the Chinese Communist Party. If they don't bring this up at SCOTUS, this thing of the birth tourism and what's going on, if they don't mention it, that's a shame on them. Shame on them. They can even vote in American elections, potentially from abroad via mail-in ballots. Like, that's nuts, right? Hank, what's up, buddy? Great to see you. Thanks for being here tonight. So Peter Schweitzer exposes China's birth tourism industry, creating an army of U.S. citizens raised under communist influence. Says there's a video, but is there going to be a video here, or am I going to have to go find it somewhere else? Because bring me your huddled masses isn't the Constitution. No way. It's not. It's a poem written on the Statue of Liberty. A poem. A poem. Oh, here we go. We're going to get to watch it. All right.
In China alone, we have identified more than 1,000 birth tourism companies that are almost exclusively focused on the United States. Our federal government does not track this information because there is no centralized collection of information on the nationality of parents who are giving birth. China, however, has done estimates themselves, and the numbers are eye-popping. The Chinese government gave an estimate a few years ago. Their estimate was that on average 50,000 Chinese citizens a year were giving birth in the United States or at U.S. territories like Saipan. There are others like Professor Salvatore Barbonis from Australia who believes that number is higher. He's estimated 100,000. There was a research firm in China that estimated in 2018 alone 180,000 managed to give birth in the United States. No one knows what the actual number is, and that is the challenge that we face today. If you do the math, if you look at the ramping up of this activity over the last 13 years, and you take the ballpark estimates, you are looking at roughly 1 million, quote unquote, U.S. citizens who are being raised in the People's Republic of China today. If you look at the websites of these birth tourism companies, they will tell you who is hiring them. These are not political dissidents. These are military officers, people from the Ministry of Propaganda, people that are high-ranking officials in the Chinese Communist Party. In other words, these are part of the CCP establishment.
Yes, wow. I mean, how is this happening? How is this happening? China's built 1,000 companies, industries, flying women to the U.S. to give birth on purpose. They're manufacturing American citizens. Now the Senate knows.
proud of you. We were watching on the TVs as you were on Capitol Hill testifying in this Senate committee. We could see Seamus Bruner, our colleague, behind you. So I'm so excited. We have some clips of your testimony to play. But I guess for starters, just kind of give our audience just a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. You know, are you nervous when you walk in there? What kind of interaction are you?
All right. Well, I thought, I'm not going to place this in someone else's podcast, so I'm going to go back to this here. Sorry. Peter Schweitzer's opening statement. So let's see, and then what Schmidt has to say. Why?
Mr. Schweitzer.
Mr. Chairman, ranking member, and distinguished members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today on the matter of profound national security and concerns about our sovereignty. That is the exploitation of America's birthright citizenship policy through birth tourism and related practices, particularly those by nationals of the People's Republic of China. What is birth tourism? Birth tourism is essentially an industry that provides concierge service at every step of the way for a foreign national, in this case China, to pay the firm roughly $100,000. They will transport them to the United States, arrange medical care, arrange for citizenship for the child, and as soon as the child is old enough to travel, they will return back to China. The scope of this is industrial. In China alone, we have identified more than 1,000 birth tourism companies that are almost exclusively focused on the United States. Our federal government does not track this information because there is no centralized collection of information on the nationality of parents who are giving birth. China, however, has done estimates themselves, and the numbers are eye-popping. The Chinese government gave an estimate a few years ago. Their estimate was that on average 50,000 Chinese citizens a year were giving birth in the United States or at U.S. territories like Saipan. There are others like Professor Salvatore Barbonis from Australia who believes that number is higher. He's estimated 100,000. There was a research firm in China that estimated in
Hey, Derek, how you doing?
alone 180,000 managed to give birth in the United States. No one knows what the actual number is, and that is the challenge that we face today. If you do the math, if you look at the ramping up of this activity over the last 13 years, and you take the ballpark estimates, you are looking at roughly 1 million, quote unquote, U.S. citizens who are being raised in the People's Republic of China today. If you look at the websites of these birth tourism companies, they will tell you who is hiring them. These are not political dissidents. These are military officers, people from the Ministry.
It's the same video we just watched.
People that are high-ranking officials in the Chinese Communist
Why would they
Party.
put multiple videos doing the same
Part
thing
of
on?
the CCP establishment.
What?
But in addition to this problem of birth tourism, we have the added challenge of surrogacy that is also being exploited by China on a massive scale. Here we have no numbers and we don't even have estimates. But the surrogacy works very simply in this fashion. A Chinese couple, or it could be simply a
Same lines? Yeah, it sounds like the same exact thing.
that they want to give birth. They hire a woman in the United States, pay her roughly $60,000, and she will carry the child. It will either be a child that comes from just the sperm of the father, or it could be both the sperm and the eggs. We have no numbers, as I said, but there are a couple of eye-popping examples that have already come to our attention that explain the scale of this activity. First, there was a CCP official in California in May of last year that was found by California Child Services.
Can't hear it? I got it cranked up all the way.
In the state of California, all of those children, of course, would become U.S. citizens. The Wall Street Journal, about 8 weeks ago, had a front-page story about a Chinese billionaire who's also close to the CCP, who has more than 100 children done through surrogacy in the United States. In the research that we did looking at surrogacy companies operating just in Southern California, which is where this is very active, we identified 107 Chinese-owned surrogacy companies operating just in that area. Now, China does not officially recognize dual citizenship, but they allow de facto dual citizenship to operate. And the fact of the matter is that these services, whether it's for surrogacy or whether it is for birthright tourism, they operate openly in China. They are not regulated, they are not shut down, and they advertise openly. Why? I can only speculate that they're doing this for their advantage and not for ours. The challenge that we face is how do we deal with this issue? I'm not a legal scholar, so I'm not going to have much to contribute on the legal debate. But the challenge is that the rules and regulations governing this are subject to manipulation. Yes, people with Customs and Border Control can deny entry.
You had no idea about the surrogacy issue? Yes, it's a big thing. I actually know somebody who did it twice and then found out after they did it that it wasn't for the people they thought it was for. It was for a Chinese person. Which I was like, hi, because they have companies that hire these women and they pay them 70 grand, 80 grand to carry the baby. And for a woman to get 80 grand to carry a baby for 9 months, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money. And they do it because, that's a year's salary in 9 months. And they don't have to do nothing but just sit around. And plus, they cover all the expense. They cover all the medical. They cover expenses. They cover, the 70 grand also, they cover food and all types of stuff along with it, besides the 70K.
To somebody who is pregnant and say they want to come to the United States on a tourism visa. The problem is that under certain administrations, the Obama administration, the Biden administration, they were told not to do that. That was the testimony before this Homeland Security Committee of the Senate back in 2016, that Customs and Border Patrol officials were told not to exclude people from coming to the United States in terms of birth tourism. This is a serious national security issue. We need to close loopholes, and we need to recognize the magnitude of this problem. Thank you.
Yeah. They target college-age girls. They target college-age girls. They college-age girls. They target women in their late 20s, early 30s who are single, usually mothers that are single mothers. They'll target them because, they'll be like, hey, have another kid, get 80 grand or 70 grand, 80 grand, and that's what they do. And they don't, they target girls in like small towns, stuff like that, because, small town Midwest, not near a big city, 80 grand is a lot of money. That might be double what they could make in a year. Some people only make 40, 50 grand a year. Get 80 grand for a year, for 9 months. And then you can do it again, Then, you got to wait like a little bit. And then, they target girls who need money. Yeah. This is kind of an offshoot of the world's oldest profession in all reality. This is just a little more.
Mr. Schweitzer.
Oh, we just saw it. Okay, never mind. That was that one. All right. So let's do this. Go back here. So Schweitzer cited Chinese government estimates of about 50,000 such births annually, though other sources suggest the figures as high as 100,000 or even 180 in the peak years like 2018. So think about that. They don't even have to have, right? It's perfect for a directed DNA weapon. Yeah. And they don't even have to fucking worry about it. Where's it at? The invading army. None of your business. Great to see you. The invading army can just show their passports and walk right in. That's right. And they don't have to bring any weapons with them. They can come in with their passports, go into gun shops, and because they're U.S. citizens, they can legally buy all the guns and stuff they want. Think about it. They don't have to worry about bringing weapons with them. They can just buy them once they get here. During the mass Schweitzer warrant, you look at roughly 1 million citizens. Yeah, 1 million Manchurian candidates. Exactly what they are. They're literally Manchurian candidates. This is the definition of what that means. Yeah, this practice exploits U.S. birth citizenship laws, allowing children to be born here to later sponsor family members through chain migration and even vote in American elections. Birth tourism involves pregnant foreign nationals traveling to the U.S. specifically to give birth, securing citizenship for their children. Yes, some have even joined the U.S. military. Yes, they have. While the practice is not legal per se, it circumvents immigration processes and has been criticized for demeaning naturalization. The U.S. does not track parental nationalities for births, making precise data scarce, but estimates indicate it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. China has companies advertising services in Mandarin and targeting affluent families. Women often enter on B1, B2 visas, misrepresenting their intent or using loopholes like visa waiver programs in U.S. territories. Yeah, so they'll just go to a U.S. territory like, Guam or somewhere else or Solomon Island, different places, get it. For instance, the Northern Mariana Islands, including Saipan, allow visa-free entry for Chinese nationals under the Guam CNMI visa waiver program, leading to a surge in births there, nearly 600 in 2018 alone, outnumbering local births. After birth, mothers and their babies typically return to China, where the children are raised until they can leverage their U.S. citizenship for education, jobs, or family reunification. Yeah, a way around the restrictions on who can purchase restricted properties as well. That's right. Oh, hey, you cheat viewers. I always love to cheat viewers. Free test. Awesome. Schweitzer highlighted national security risks, noting that these citizens indoctrinated in China could undermine U.S. sovereignty as part of a broader asymmetric warfare. Well, exactly. In response, Representative Tom Tiffany, Representative Chip Roy, and Senators Rick Scott have introduced the One Nation, One Visa Policy Act. The bill requires all Chinese nationals to obtain a valid visa for entry to any U.S. territory, eliminating visa-free access to places like the Northern Mariana Islands and preventing exploitation of birth citizenship. Communist China has the track record of exploiting America's weaknesses to advance its interests and undermine our national security. Yeah, remember the balloon under Biden? The balloon that flew across and tracked and basically went across all our military bases that house like the B-2s, the F-22s, and all the stuff, B-1s. Just went right past them all, recording everything, like sucking up all the electronic signals and stuff. U.S. citizenship is valuable, not something foreign holiday makers should be able to pick up like a hotel gift shop souvenir. Tiffany told Breitbart News. For far too long, a dangerous loophole opened during the Obama administration and widened under the Biden administration has allowed pregnant women from China to travel visa-free to the Northern Mariana Islands to give birth and secure U.S. citizenship for their children. Yeah, traitor Joe Biden. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding, traitors. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. And then this is a little segment about this whole thing from Jonathan Turley, who's he says, whatever the ruling on birthright citizenship, the ABA will likely be the biggest loser. Yeah. Below is my column in the Hill argument this week that Trump, the birthright citizenship case, there are good faith arguments on both sides, and lawyers are divided on the question. For that reason, most notable brief may have been the amicus of the American Bar Association, which filed a strident defense of birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court will soon hear arguments in historic birthright citizenship cases, hearing that has been over 150 years in the making since the ratification of the 14th Amendment. I don't think so. This is what I'm saying. Like, everybody's just glossing over the fact of actually what Wong Kim Ark said. Read the decision, read what it says, read why they ruled that way. It does not apply to any of these other people. It applies to permanent, lawful permanent residents, green card holders. That's it. For that reason, there was one brief that stood out. The ABA filed its friend to the court brief to argue that the matter is clear. Anyone who gives birth on our soil, even if they're here illegally or only briefly, may claim citizenship for their child. Most nations on earth, including many of the European allies, reject birthright citizenship, and many of us in this nation believe that it's a foolish policy. Yet, even as some who oppose birthright citizenship, I've long believed and argued that there are good faith arguments on both sides of the debate. The sponsors of this language clearly disagreed on the issue at the time of its enactment. Some stated at the time that the language did not allow for birthright citizenship. The debate comes down to 6 poorly chosen words and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Those words were not in the original draft, but were inserted by an amendment. Thus, they were not superfluous or casual verbiage, but an intentional condition. They were placed in the middle of an otherwise clear statement that all persons born and naturalized are citizens. For more than a century, we may have argued the words reflect an intent to limit the amendment to citizens and legal residents who are subject fully to the jurisdiction. That brings us back to the Bar Association. Hold on one second. Regardless of how one comes out with this fascinating historical and constitutional debate, this is one case that we expect the ABA to sit out. It clearly does not speak for all lawyers on this issue, yet it filed a strident brief and laid out a parade of horribles about what would happen if the Supreme Court were to reject it. I found the brief to be one of the least compelling submissions to the court, but once again, the media will portray the brief as speaking for American lawyers, even though the ABA represents less than 2 out of every 10 attorneys. That's right. Only 2 out of every 10 attorneys are members of the American Bar Association because it's not what it represents itself to be. It's a coalition of leftists. It's basically the Lawyers Guild. Hey, Lady Bama, thanks. Thanks for being here. America's enemies learned how to divide people long ago. That's right. That's right. I previously wrote a column in these pages, The Rise and Fall of the American Bar Association, exploring how the ABA has alienated many lawyers with its partisan advocacy. When it was founded on August 21st, 1878 in Saratoga Springs, New York, the 75 lawyers present from 20 states and the District of Columbia wanted an organization to create a national system of standards for the advancement of the science of jurisprudence and promotion of the administration of justice. It was created to focus on professional accreditation, education, and training. That changed in 1990 when the advocates overrode earlier votes to remain neutral on the constitutional interpretation supporting the right to abortion. The adoption of a pro-abortion position shocked many and fundamentally changed the culture of the ABA. It is worth noting that the very arguments embraced by the Bar Association were later rejected by the Supreme Court in the Dobbs decision. Since that time, the ABA has become fully captive to partisans who use the organization to support liberal and often Democrat Party positions. The result has been a steady decline in membership. Today, there are roughly 1.3 million lawyers in the U.S. Even if the ABA represented just half that number, it would have 650,000 members. As recently as 2015, it still had 400,000, but more recently, membership has fallen to 227,000, only 17% of the bar. Despite complaints that the ABA has become a partisan organization, its leadership has doubled down with positions and programming that are echo chambers for the left. During Trump's terms, the ABA has uniformly opposed him and his policies. The ABA brief in favor of birthright citizenship is signed by ABA President Michelle Benke. It clearly declares the language and history clear and resolved. It then predicts a virtual meltdown of order and due process if the country's birthright citizenship is not upheld. The decline of the ABA to the point where it does not speak for most lawyers has followed a similar model. The media also abandoned neutrality in its covering of such stories, with many journalism schools now teaching students that they are advocates for social justice. Likewise, academia largely purged its departments of Republicans, conservatives, and libertarians as it increasingly prioritized advocacy over education. All three of these groups have one thing in common beyond their liberal ideological bias and advocacy. They are all increasingly unpopular. Higher education and the media have plummeted in public trust to record lows. Like the ABA, which can no longer claim to speak for even for most lawyers, there is little indication that the loss of trust is causing the leadership to do any soul searching. As memberships and revenues decline, the use of these institutions for advocacy remains personally beneficial. Benke is leading an organization that is a shell of its former self, but she, like academics and journalists, is lionized for taking these positions. Ironically, Benke has the role in two of these areas as board member for the University of Wisconsin Law School and University of Wisconsin Foundation and Alumni Association Board. Faced with an ABA doubling down on these controversial positions, various states are moving to do away with this historical role in bar memberships. The brief reaffirmed for many lawyers that the ABA is no longer a neutral and fair representative for all lawyers. It will continue to represent a dwindling faction of lawyers who look at the association as more of a stridently ideological than a strictly professional organization. That is why, whatever the outcome in Trump v. Barbara, the American Bar Association is likely to be the loser. 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 We got this on the same topic. We got Trump rips dumb Supreme Court justices ahead of critical birthright citizenship oral arguments. What? President Trump tore into the court and the dumb justices making up the U.S. federal court system on Monday as a case involving an executive order banning so-called birthright citizenship is scheduled for oral arguments on Wednesday. It's not banning birthright citizenship. It's saying that birthright citizenship is exactly what it said in Wonka Mark. U.S., American citizens, kids, citizens, or lawful permanent residents. The High Court agreed last December to hear the legal challenge. The president vented that the amendment was passed to protect former slaves, not what he and his administration officials refer as birth tourism. Birthright citizenship is not about rich people from China and the rest of the world who want their children and hundreds of thousands more for pay to ridiculously become U.S. citizens. It's about babies of slaves. We're the only country in the world that dignifies this subject with even a discussion. Look at the dates of this long ago legislation, the exact end of the Civil War. Yeah. The Senate passed the 14th Amendment in 1866. It was ratified 2 years later. The Citizen Clause says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and whatever states where they reside. Yeah. The Immigration and Nationality Act later codified the language in 1952. The Supreme Court will be hearing oral arguments. Well, why would if it's a constitutional amendment, why would it have to codify the language? That doesn't make any sense. It's a constitutional amendment. The language is in the Constitution. a statute of Congress has no power over an amendment. So the Supreme Court will begin hearing oral arguments on Wednesday. So now it says Wednesday. Why did it say Tuesday, the other story? Which is it, Tuesday or Wednesday? The order grants automatic citizenship to babies born in the U.S. who have at least one parent with citizenship or a legal permanent residency. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to win. I don't see how it doesn't. Some of the justices on the court's supermajority have recently delivered the president's setbacks, especially on striking down his signature tariffs. The world is getting rich selling citizenships to our country, while at the same time laughing at how stupid our court system has become. Trump fumed in his post. Dumb judges and justice will not a great country make. The Birthright citizenship case originated in New Hampshire as part of a class action brought by the ACLU, the anti-American civil, the non-American civil liberties. So they're for liberties for non-Americans. Separately, a group of Democrat-led states sued. Why would all these Democrats want people that have no loyalty to this country to have citizen kids? What does this make any sense to anybody? I don't see how anybody had standing to sue. No one had standing to sue. After district courts and appeals court issued preliminary rulings in favor of the plaintiffs, the cases were consolidated and the Trump administration appealed to the Supreme Court. Solicitor J.D. Sauer has asked the High Court to reconsider how the citizenship clause was adopted to grant citizenship to newly freed slaves and their children, not to children of legal aliens or temporarily in the United States. The ACL has disputed this, calling birthright citizenship one of the many features of American life that framers embraced alongside freedom and equality. Really? What about the Indians? What happened to them? They weren't included. So we'll see. Here we go. Shocking videos, terrifying footage shows a Delta flight taking off from Brazilian airport when the engine blows up, causing panic on board. Oh, wow, look at that. You see all the video or the picture, you can see that. A Delta plane departing Sao Paulo. Is it San Paulo or Sao Paulo for Brazil? Brazil! Viva Brazil! Viva Brazil! For the U.S. had returned to make an emergency landing last night after an engine caught fire, sending flames and sparks, causing panic on board. Delta Airlines Airbus A330-300 suffered a catastrophic engine failure just after rotation from Sao Paulo. Guarulhos. Explosions and flames trailed the aircraft, with debris sparking a brush fire near the runway.
Pista no zero esquerda, vento 150 graus. 02 nós, em livre pouso não no zero esquerda.
Pouso autorizado, pista no zero da esquerda, San 3567.
I don't know. I see it looks like a plane taking off, maybe? I don't see anything blow up yet. Did you? There it goes. It's taking off. Okay, it's lifting off. Whoa, there goes the fire. You see it? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, now that's really burning up now.
Okay, left.
Affirmative, we need to come back.
Zero 45 now, Delta 104.
204.
Is it going to turn around and come right back? Oh, it's coming right back. It turned right around, coming right back. You see it? Like went, we're up and just zipped around. Looked right around. Hey, what's up, Snarf? Great to see you. Thanks for being here. There it is. Is that it, or is that a different plane? That's a different plane, I think. My cat's meowing outside the door. I can hear it. Oh, my cat wants in
Libera
here.
peixe e chama o solo 269.
Libera 269. 35 metros.
Wow. That was interesting. I didn't really see anything on landing. Did you? Delta Airlines flight took off, left engine caught fire with loud explosions. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom. That's just the same thing, but it's a little closer.
Delta 04, there is a fire in your wing, okay? Left wing.
Affirmative, we need to come back.
Oh, okay. All right. So they turn around, return to the airport. This must be from the airplane. All right. There's a kitty cat. There's a kitty cat. All right, Bella, stop. All right, Bella, lay down. Lay down, Bella. Bella gets very jealous. Lay down. Lay down. Bella gets really, really jealous if I'm holding her. She doesn't like me holding the kitty cat. She's a very jealous dog. Look at her. She's staring at the cat right now. Anyway, so, all right. Handsome tuxedo kitty. Yeah. Jim has a cat. Yeah. The screaming has upset Bella. Yep. Shock her. No, we don't shock the dog. We just, the cat went and hid under the bed now. Ugh. She likes to hide places. So she wanted to come in. So the aircraft eventually landed safely. The airline said customers were taken to bus terminal. That's another video, I guess.
Mom, that's a terrible idea. Why?
Hats off to Bella in that. Yeah, get the cat out of there. More screaming. Yeah. Fire! 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 News footage of the horrifying moments of Canada plane collides with fire truck. Oh, we don't want to see that. So that's what's going on in Brazil. All right. On to the next story. Let's go. Here we go. Ready? Pentagon preps for weeks-long ground ops in Iran. Fire! 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 Another relatively crashless flight. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why it's news that an engine blew up and the plane landed safely and everyone was fine. No one was injured. How is that even news? I mean, I was on a plane that was spitting oil and stuff all over, and I'm watching it, and it's on the windows. I'm like, it's blowing stuff out of the engine. I told them, like, it's fine. Except for when we landed, then they had people all looking at it with stuff the whole time, and I was like, oh, it was really fine, huh, the whole time? Could even go 5 weeks. Yeah. Put it up on neck. Yeah. As U.S. Marines arrive in theater. So U.S. Marines arrive in theater, and they're saying they're prepping for, the Pentagon is prepping for what could become a weeks-long ground operations inside Iran, including special operations raid and limited infantry missions, as U.S. forces, including a Marine expeditionary unit now in the theater, continue to build up for a potentially more dangerous next phase of Operation Epic Fury, according to a report published Saturday. U.S. officials told the Washington Post that the plans under discussion would stop short of a full-scale invasion and instead center on targeted ground missions involving a mix of special operations forces and conventional infantry. The report said the planning underway for weeks has included possible operation involving Karg Island, Iran's primary oil export hub, as well as raids on coastal positions near the Strait of Hormuz, targeting capabilities used to threaten freedom of navigation through the strategic waterway. I guess there's another island that has like a completely underground missile city, like a city underground that they build missiles in, and they shoot them from, and that's where they have all the missiles that they're targeting all the shipping with is out of this underground city. So maybe they're going to go in there and blow the whole city up. Pentagon's preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran. U.S. officials tell the Washington Post as thousands of Americans, hey, Frisky, what you doing? Come here. What are you doing? Stop. For what could be a dangerous new phase in the Iran war, exposing U.S. personnel to an array of something. Says exposing a new phase of war, exposing U.S. personnel to an array of threats, including Iranian drones and missiles, ground fire, and improvised explosive devices. Should the decision escalate, be made by President Trump, any potential ground operation would fall short of a full-scale invasion and could instead involve raids, a mixture of special ops. Options include possible seizure of Karg Island, raids in other coastal areas, with one setting the potential timeline at a couple of months. So now it's a couple of months, not a couple of weeks. They're saying a couple of months. Seriously, if the Washington Post was blindsided by when this war was going to happen, it really doesn't have a clue as to how low troops will be used. Citing unnamed U.S. officials, of what the Post fails to mention is that none of these troops, such as the specific Marine or paratrooper units, are designed for long-term combat. They are made for either hit-and-run operations or to secure very limited objectives, like the 3 small islands that the Iranians took from the UAE in 1971. But hey, they wouldn't want you to really notice that because the Post hates this administration and it's actively hoping for it to fail. So here's the whole story here from... But I don't know if, I don't think it'll let me read it without being a subscribinizer. Yeah, it won't let me read it without being a subscribinizer. So let's do this. We'll read it on Newsweek, Newsmax World. I had a plane drop like 20 feet suddenly, and some guy's Bloody Mary splashed over the ceiling, and some dude next to me was like, I fly a lot. This shit happens all the time. I was on a flight when I was in the Navy. It was a MAC flight. If anyone's aware what that is, it's anyway. We were flying over the North Atlantic, and we had what they called a electrostatic discharge from the plane. I'll call it, we got hit by lightning. They said electrostatic discharge. I say we got hit by lightning. And I thought the plane dropped a couple thousand feet. Like, it was like, we were straight down until the engines kicked back on again. And, it terrified me. Because of that, I still don't like to fly. So we got this. It says Pentagon preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran, and this says, let's see what this guy says.
I think that
this guy says,
Secretary of War, this would be 4 to 6 weeks. We're now at week 4. How long do you see this conflict going, sir?
Well, going on past experience, Lydia, I think that the air campaign has at least another month to go. We've been working on this problem since the Reagan administration, and the air campaign is designed to last a couple of months at least. I mean, this is a country that's twice the size of Texas. It has 90 million people. The Ayatollahs have scattered their ballistic missile and drone facilities across this massive country. And we still have a way to go. And what I think will happen next is that those Marines and the paratroopers will secure one of the islands in the Gulf, establish a base there, maybe even Karg. That cuts off the ability of the Iranians to maintain their economy. 90% of what they earn on the global stage comes through Karg, and I think that might be a target in the next few days.
Wow. Yeah, I have to take something to fly. Now, that one trip, I'll tell you, that one thing that happened, that ruined flying for me. And I started flying when I was young. I was like in fourth grade, fifth grade, the first time I flew to California from Chicago. It was that experience was I'm terrified after that. Texas is bigger than most countries, I think. Yeah. You flew for 16 hours once, was wondering how long a turbine can run at 30,000 RPMs. Yeah, that is effed up. And Pat says, I flew once when I was 5, puked all over my big brother. I use alcohol. Depending on the time of the day, I'll either take something or I'll drink a few drinks. But, I mean, you have to fly. It's just I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it at all. I really don't. Hank says, last time I flew, my hands sweated for days. Terry says, I fly about 3 times a year. I used to fly quite a bit. I used to fly multiple times a year back and forth from Chicago to Florida, but not anymore. That would be okay if I was piloting. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the worst sick, when Pat says she got sick and threw up, the worst sickness I ever got was when I was a young kid. I don't know how I was, 10, 12. And I was sitting in the back of an old station wagon driving through the redwoods of California, through the mountains, right outside of Santa Cruz, where the big giant redwoods are. And I was facing backwards in the seat because they had the seats that would face, you'd sit up and you'd look out the back window. So I'm sitting in the back window watching the road going like this. And all of a sudden there's just blurb. My little brother kept screaming we were going to fall. I was in a plane that lost cabin pressure. It was crazy. Oh, yeah, that's nuts. I do good in a flight simulator. I was on a trip one time, and John Lithgow looked out the window and saw a creature ripping the motor apart. No, that would have been not John Lithgow. That would have been wasn't that Shatner that saw that? Wasn't that Shatner in like Twilight Zone or Outer Limits or something like that? Department of War is preparing for weeks of ground operations in Iran. The Washington Post reported on Sunday, citing U.S. officials. The plan could involve raids. Whether President Trump would approve any of the plans remains uncertain. So they may be. Yeah, I thought it was Captain Kirk. I swear it was Shatner. Yeah, it was Shatner. That's what I thought it was Shatner. Hey, Sornet has rated the stream. Thank you, Sornet. Yeah, wow. And then Tom Bravo says, just as Operation Overlord was a deception in Normandy, if where we land troops will likely be a complete surprise. Yeah. I mean, they are. What was it? Was it Calais? Right, the pod to Calais was where they pretended they used Patton and a fictitious army group or whatever, and set up all this fake stuff with radio traffic and everything to convince the Germans that he would be going there. Frisky, what are you doing? Stop. Do you fear death or do you fear the roller coaster ride? Death. I go on roller coasters. I love roller coasters, but I just don't want to crash and die. That's the problem is, then later in the new Twilight Zone also. So maybe the new Twilight Zone was Lithgow. Get the Bacons. Okay. Yankee Free, what's up? Jay Henry, great to see you. Shatner, yeah. I wanted to see something really scary. Okay. We're here, musically medicated. Awesome. Thanks for being here. Greg Ohio's here. Jay Henry's here. Rebel with Consent and all. Wow, what's up? All these people. Patton was a diversion. Yeah, Patton was a diversion because the Germans never thought that Patton would not be. The Germans knew that Patton was the best general we had at the time. Which I want to say that there was some generals under Patton who made him the greatest general, because you had a guy by the name of Terry Allen, who was the commander of the Big Red One, and who was doing all the good stuff. Basically, like, just kept attacking at night, I want to say, and stuff like that. I think it was Terry Allen. I think that was his name. Pretty sure. Cheers, Jim. Cheers to you too. When I was around 8 years old, my mother was learning to fly and invited me along to do the touch and goes with her. Little did I know that involved going into a spin. Didn't stop me flying, but not with her. Okay, Janine. Okay, that's cool. Hey, what's up, Liz? Great to see you. Twilight Zone, terror at 30,000 feet. I will take a merry-go-round. Hit those follows, like, repost buttons. That's right, buddies. Check it out. Is a cat pissing around with wires? The cat is messing around with the wires. Yes, the cat is messing around with the wires, and it's starting to mess with me. I'm like, stop. What a sweet doggo. Yes, she's a sweet doggo. You want to see her jump? I'll pick up the cat, and she'll freak out right now. She does not like it if the cat's by me. American Dreamer, great to see you. God's will be done. Yes, it will. Sorry about earlier. There was a minor little confusion about what time I was going to start with the raid and stuff, but my grandkids were here, so I was like, well, if I'm not getting a raid, I'm not going to start early. So I had to cancel that and then deal with the grandkids and stuff. So she's a tired girl. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Maybe the cat will go. The cat used to sleep with the dog I had before Bella was the same type of dog, a red nose like Bella. Her name was Charlie. And the cats used to sleep on her, would lay on her and sleep on her. But then again, Charlie was a little bit older when I got the cats. The cats were just kitties, and they basically thought the dog was their mom. And the dog would let them come eat out of her food and would move out of the way, and they would just climb on her and lay on her. There is some videos, if you go back on my channel and you look all the way back, the first couple videos of my channel there's the kitty cat. You see the kitty cat right there? Was right by the dog, sniffing the doggy. Let me see. Oh, she just came back over here now. But Kim's Dirty Kitchen, you're not too late. You're perfect. It's good to see you too, as always. They're absolutely the best dogs. You got raided by protesters. I don't know what do you mean? My dad would dive bomb the house with my mom inside it. She would come running out, my brothers in her arms. What are you doing, Frisky? You want to leave? You want to go outside? I'll open the door. You want to go outside? I'll make it a little, open it up so when a cat goes by, you can see the kitty cat. No Kings rally. Oh my God, that sucks. The Trump administration has deployed U.S. Marines to the Middle East as the war in Iran stretches into its 5th week, and also been planning to send thousands of soldiers from the U.S. Army's 82nd Airborne Division to the region. Our officials say any ground mission would likely be limited in scope and could involve raids by special operations forces alongside conventional troops. Hey, whoa. Cat almost knocked the light down. Oh, my God. What are you doing, Cat? What are you doing, Cat? Knock it off. The plans have been under development for weeks, though it remains unclear whether the president will approve them. Such operations would expose U.S. personnel to risks, including Iranian drones. Stop it, Cat. Stop it, Cat. She keeps messing with the light. Missiles and ground fire improvised explosive devices. At the same time, the administration has sent mixed signals about its intentions, at times suggesting the conflict may wind down, while also warning of potential escalation. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said military planning is intended to provide the president with options and does not indicate a final decision. Well, of course not. Why would it be a final decision? The president gets to make that's why the president is the commander-in-chief. He gets to make the final decision. He gets to make the final decision. Nobody else. Discussions have included possible actions such as seizing Karg Island, a key Iranian oil export hub, and conducting raids along the Strait of Hormuz to target weapons-threatening shipping routes. Yeah, good kitty. I wish I could get everyone to just knock it off. Me too. I wish they'd just knock it all off. President Trump has publicly denied plans to deploy ground troops, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said the United States could achieve its objectives without a prolonged conflict or ground operations. Well, they could. I don't know if they will. Recent reports have suggested additional troop deployments may be under consideration, though they have not been independently confirmed. Meanwhile, U.S. forces in the region have sustained casualties in recent weeks, with multiple deaths and hundreds of injuries reported from the attacks linked to Iran. Iran so far away, I couldn't get away. Oh, Lisa, thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa, for the $20. With that, that means we are now just $30 away from adding the first additional hour to the show. Thank you so much. First key is here. I don't know if it's where she went now, but she's in here. The door's shut. The door is shut, so she cannot leave. Hormoose, what's up? It's crazy how much me and dogs love each other. Yeah, I love my dog. I do. Yes, thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you. Public opinion polls indicate significant opposition among Americans deploying ground troops in Iran, while views on airstrikes are more divided. Like, I don't know. I saw reports. It's like 80% of people are like, yeah, go ahead, bomb the shit out of them. Military analysts say potential operations such as seizing strategic locations would carry substantial risks and logistical challenges, particularly in protecting forces once deployed. Alternative strategies could include targeting coastal military sites or using naval pressure to secure shipping lanes. Wow, 27 likes. Get those numbers up, people. That's right, man. Get the numbers up. We really need to get the numbers up. So please hit the like button if you haven't already. She grabs your leg, you know where she is. Yeah. Within Congress, lawmakers remain divided over the prospect of ground operations, with some Republicans opposing deployment of U.S. troops to Iranian soil. Hey, Brian Ogden goes 10 towards the cause. Thank you so much, Brian. That means right now we are just 20 away from adding the first additional hour to the show. We got about an hour left to hit $20. Yes, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you. A top Iranian official warned that U.S. against the ground invasions. Yeah, like, so we're going to listen to Iran? You guys better not do it. You better not do it. That's Iran. You better not do a ground invasion. Yeah, okay. Okay, Iran. We're going to take advice from Iran? I don't think we're going to take advice from Iran. We're going to do what we think is necessary. Yes, Jim needs a zigzag. Yeah. Did you see that NATO dude that resigned, lucky number 7? I didn't. Which NATO dude? What's it say? Oh my God. Walker Bueller pitching for the San Diego Pedos just as wrong. What? What are you talking about? You San Diego Padres? You calling them Pedo? I don't know. Iran's, that the troops would be set on fire. How are they going to set us on fire? Using what? Nuclear weapons that they don't have? Or do they have them? A regional diplomat met Sunday in Pakistan in hopes of opening direct talks and ending the months-long war. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Baghdad Kalabaf, said Iranian forces were waiting for the arrival of American troops on the ground to set them on fire and punish their regional partners forever. According to an Iranian state media, he also dismissed the talks as cover for some 2,500 U.S. Marines trained in amphibious landings arriving in the Middle East. They're going to take Iran's oil depot island and their enriched uranium. That's what I'm thinking. They captured the Jewish space lasers. How long was Desert Storm? Well, the buildup took months. It was like 9 months, I think, 6 to 9 months of buildup. And then it was a little over 30 days of an air campaign. And then the ground operations were like 3 or 4 days. Like 3-4 days of ground operations. We're watching Inglourious Bastards. 2 days till NASA's launch to the moon. We do have a story. The BBC just said Britain shouldn't own dogs, one of the most dog-loving countries. By complete coincidence, UK Muslims have recently been protesting against dog and dog was there. Yeah, that's what they said. The BBC said that because that's what they said. That's why Muslims don't want to go into the country, because there's a lot of dogs in the country. And so people in the country should get rid of their dogs because, for Muslims. Never. Lots of surrendering in Iraq. He says, sorry, that's how they're going to set our troops on fire. How are they going to set them on fire? With a nuclear weapon or with what? With what? How do you square this was talking point in the White House press briefing today? We are done for? Okay. Rich should get more dogs. Well, no, I hope not. I really do. I hope not. The war has threatened global supplies of oil, natural gas, and fertilizer and disrupted air travel. Iran's grip on the strategic Strait of Hormuz has shaken markets and prices, and now the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels entered the war and could threaten shipping on another crucial waterway, the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, to the Red Sea. The space laborers, damn. Oh, the space laborers. That's the lasers. The space lasers. That's how they're going to set them on fire. I suspect they'll torch the oil fields. Probably. But here's the thing. Isn't it a war crime for Iran to be targeting the oil fields and all these other infrastructure stuff in other countries? I mean, everyone's screaming about if Trump targets infrastructure in Iran, it'll be a war crime. I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic. It's not coming across. Oh no, I understand now. I understand now. We don't know at what moment our homes could be targeted, said Hazak Sagir Al-Mawasi, 71, describing relentless airstrikes as Iranians crossing into Iraq urged the United States to end the war. I am definitely afraid. More than 3,000 people have been killed in the war that began with U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran that triggered Iranian attacks on Israel and neighboring Gulf states. Meanwhile, Israel has invaded Lebanon while targeting the Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorist group. Is there a reason we don't make our own fertilizer? Believe it or not, Rudd, I saw a article saying that there was some program in some country or something about turning humans into fertilizer. Yeah. Their names are a war crime, yeah. Being sarcastic on the net is a gamble. Yeah. Just saying. I guess out of Muslims. So maybe they could do it out of Muslims. I had multiple conversations about water attacks, whether it's hard water or drinking water. Well, there was a heavy water attack. That happened. Israel has invaded Lebanon while targeting Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorist group. The war continues on the digital front as well. They make compost fertilizer in Gilroy. California already composts humans. Maybe that's what I was reading. Is it something about California that they were going to do something where they were going to start making fertilizer out of humans, but not for human food? The war continues on the digital front as well. Pakistan said the foreign ministers of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt met in Islamabad without U.S. or Israeli participation, days after the U.S. offered Iran a 15-point action list as a framework for a possible peace deal. Heavy water. Yes, heavy water. Dang dirty apes. Damn you to hell. You damn dirty apes. The ministers are expected to meet again on Monday. Egypt's Badal al-Baghdadi said at the meetings are aimed at opening a direct dialogue between the U.S. and Iran, which have largely communicated through mediators. Both this war and last year's 12-day war began during rounds of indirect talks. Iranian officials have rejected the U.S. framework and publicly dismissed the idea of negotiating under pressure. Under pressure, bump, 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 ba-da-dum, bump, 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 ba-da-dum, bump, 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 ba-da-dum, bump, 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 ba-da-dum. It's also like ice, ice, baby is under pressure. It's ice, ice, baby. But Press TV, the English language arm of Iran's state broadcaster, reported last week that Tehran has drafted its own 5-point proposal that reportedly called for a halt to the killing Iranian officials. Yes, they want us to stop killing the Iranian officials. Well, you know what that was, right? That was just a dog chasing the cat. So, they are doing acclamation down. Yeah. Oh, no, I don't blame Jim. It's more on me and my bad timing. Looking down on me. Yes. And their proposal reportedly called to a halt to killing Iranian officials. Yeah, they don't want to stop killing us. Guarantees against future attacks. Reparations, and Iran's exercise of sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. No, that's not going to happen. That beat is dope. Yep. Bella can move when she wants. Yes, she can. Iran has eased some restrictions on commercial shipping in the Strait, agreeing late Saturday to allow 20 more Pakistani-flagged vessels to pass through. It says a clear signal that Iran remains open for business with the world, provided the United States abandons coercion. It says Asif Darani, Pakistan's former ambassador to Iran. Yes, your Soren comment was perfect. Yes, it was. Bella actually moved. Yes, Bella lives. As advisor to the United Arab Emirates, Anwar Gargash called for any settlement to the war to include clear guarantees that Iran's attacks on its neighbors will not be repeated. I'm going to crack the door open so that the cat can get out if she wants to get out. So give me 1 second. Nope, wrong thing. All right. Sorry about that. That way, if the cat wants to go get out, she can get out, and we'll know, because Bella will reposition herself as she's so like to do. There she is. There she is. She got her head on her dolly. You see, she got her head on her little dolly there. I imagine the smell of composting humans. Yuck. Yeah, run, kitty, save yourself. Yes. Yeah, an advisor to the United Arab Emirates, Anwar Gargash, called for any settlement to the war to include clear guarantees that Iranian attacks on its neighbors will not be repeated. Ooh, I love Toll House cookies. I do. They're the best. Gargash said Iran's government has become the main threat to Persian Gulf security and called for compensation for attacks on civilian infrastructure. I thought that was war crimes. That's what everyone keeps saying. That's what Barnes keeps saying. War crimes, war crimes, war crimes. What about Iran's war crimes? Iran on Sunday warned of escalation after Israeli airstrikes hit several universities, including one that Israel claimed were used for nuclear research and development. Concerns over Iran's nuclear program are at the heart of the tensions. The paramilitary Revolutionary Guard, isn't that just, they're not paramilitary, that's their military? I mean, calling them paramilitary is kind of ridiculous. Edward G. Robinson, yes. Edward G. Robinson, yes. Yes, yes, yes. They warned that Iran would consider Israeli universities and branches of U.S. universities in the region legitimate targets unless offered safety assurances for Iranian universities. They're going to start targeting universities. What do you know? U.S. colleges have campuses in Qatar, the UAE, including Georgetown, New York, and Northwestern universities. If the U.S. wants its universities in the region spared, it should condemn the bombardment of Iranian universities by midday Monday, the Guard said in a statement. Hey, Bill Vick, what's up, man? Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Trying to remember the movie you just put him in a wood chipper, maybe Twin Peaks. Fargo. I still want to like Barnes. He is usually smart. I don't know, man. Barnes has been going kind of hard in the paint, man. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baqi said Saturday that dozens of universities and research centers have been hit, among them the Iran University of Science Technology and the Isfahan University of Technology. So what they do is they just say, yeah, those nuclear sites that we were doing nuclear research, those are universities. You can't hit those. Both sides in the war have threatened to attack civilian facilities, which critics have warned could be a war crime. Iranian authorities say more than 1,900 people have been killed in the Islamic Republic, while 19 have been reported dead in Israel. In Lebanon, officials said more than 1,100 people have been killed. In Iraq, where Iranian-supported militias have entered the conflict, 80 members of security forces have died. In Gulf states, 20 people have been killed. 4 have been killed in the occupied West Bank. Academy of Science. Broken clock. Barnes is correct twice a day. Fargo Justice. Toes first. Slow speed. Yeah. And then what the F says, nope, Barnes has gone off the deep end. The deep end. Barnes. And say, New York Post, it says Pentagon preparing for weeks of ground operations. Let's see. Oh, we got a little bit from Trump here. Let's see. Looks like
We've decimated them as a military. No Air Force, no Navy, very few rockets left. We blew up so many.
See, I always thought decimated meant that they were like taken down by a tenth. That's like a tenth. You decimate somebody, you take a tenth. I thought that's what it was. Maybe I'm
To
wrong.
manufacture them. Same thing with drones. The leadership is gone. The problem with the Straits is this. Let's say we do a great job. We say we got 99%. 1% is unacceptable because 1% is a missile going into the hull of a ship that cost $1 billion, right? So 1% is we can't. If we do a 99% decimation, that's no good. So it's really, a little bit. But I have a feeling it's going to clean up pretty quickly. I can just say this: they want to.
That's the origin of the word. Yeah, wasn't it like Romans? It was a punishment for Rome's? Barnes! The platoon's reference? Yes, that was a platoon reference. Barnes! That was Elias yelling at Barnes to stop. You son of a bitch, Barnes! Something like that, yeah. Decimation is a tenth. I have maintained mowing compost piles. Rotting vegetation is one thing. Human flesh is totally different, yeah. mean, there's other things you can put in compost piles too. There's all types of stuff. Like there's certain types of paper plates and other type of materials that are, camp compost, stuff like that. And Mother of Papillon says, I stopped watching both Viva and Barnes over a year ago. The second Trump took office, apparently he can do no right. That's what it seems like. It does to me. I don't know. Viva and Barnes lost me about a year ago. Yeah. He says, I stopped watching after Barnes went on an hour-plus rant about Amos Miller, his client. Viva was good when he did the videos from his car. Yeah. Gonna need some pyronic acid to devastate. Mix of acids. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Like, I would say, like, the other night I was watching, because I'll catch it sometimes. I'll watch on a Sunday night. And not yesterday, but last Sunday, Barnes started attacking Mark Gruber and Eric Hunley. And I could see on Viva's face, he was visibly upset. Like, Viva was like, what are you doing? Like, stop. I like these are friends of mine. So I don't know. I don't know how much longer that's going to last if that continues. Because it looked to me like Viva was like, this is going too far. The senior leaders are sleeping in the hospitals. Yeah, they sleep in the hospitals. That way, if they attack them, then they're saying you're striking hospitals.
They want to make, and I probably hurt our little negotiation. It gives them a little impetus to say, well, I wish you didn't say that. But they said yesterday that we weren't negotiating with them, and now they admit that we were negotiating with them. So they want to make a deal. The reason they want to make a deal is they have been just beat to shit.
Are you thinking of taking control of Iran's oil?
It's an option. I mean, I wouldn't talk about it, but it's an option.
Is that something you thought about?
Well, in Venezuela, we've done very well working with Venezuela, certainly. And we've taken in billions and billions of dollars. And by the way, Venezuela is doing better right now than they've ever done in the history of their country. And sort of like a joint venture. But the United States has made a lot of money, Marco, right? With it. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
About Venezuela?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Venezuela in the first 2 months of this year generated more revenue from oil sales than they had most of all of last year. But the money's not being stolen anymore. And it's being held in a U.S. Treasury blocked account. And to the extent it's flowing to the Venezuelan government, it's going to help people, like fund hospitals, pay teachers. It's not
And we
being
get a
stolen.
lot of it, and they got more than they have in many years. Think of it. We get a lot of it. We have a deal. We get a lot of it. We had 100 million, think of this, 100 million barrels we took in the first 2 weeks. 100 million barrels. That's a lot of oil. It's a lot of ships. And we got some, and they got some. We paid for the ships. A lot of money left over. And Venezuela has done better now with us. Call it a partner, call it whatever.
Somebody
you want.
beating on the table in there or something, or
We
hitting
made
the
a lot of
microphone.
money,
It sounds like
and they've made a lot of money.
they're having some kind of problem or
Cost of
something.
that military hit many, many times over, and we've only just started. Our relationship with Venezuela has been
Havana on the Willamette.
the people actually.
Damn it.
I'm the highest polling person, and in other words, after the presidency, I think I may go to Venezuela and run for president against Elsie. I may run against Elsie. It's an option. No, they like me in Venezuela.
Oh, sounds like glass on the table. Yeah. So, okay, we'll pause this. Pause. All right. No, I don't want to watch this. Stop. So the Pentagon's preparing for weeks of boots on the ground. Sounds like a glass on the table. Trump, like, yeah, we take their shit. Yeah, well, Portland's a cesspool. They have dozens of stories about Portland, LE. Jason Steiner being one, pot shop robbery. Yeah, I believe I saw that. That's the two guys that came and tried to rob him, and he ended up shooting them both, right? Or was that one? I saw one with somebody who shot two people, and another one where I thought he stabbed somebody with a knife. I can't remember which one it was. Conference mic without rubber feet. Okay. Maybe you should run for office in Iran. Maybe you should. Yeah, Venezuela's going to win so much, they're going to get tired of winning. Maybe Eastwood Farms. They might, I mean, everyone says, I don't know how true it is, but everyone says, like, Venezuela has the largest oil reserves of any country. So they should win. They should be winning. Winning. I remind everyone that the terrain in Iran is crazy. Yes, it is. It's crazy, but not only just for us, it's crazy for them. Like, here's the thing, Brian, I want you to really remember and think about. all the missiles and everything that they fire to actually hit the ships in the Strait of Hormuz have to be on the, what do you want to call, the leeward side of the mountains, the side that's closer to the ocean, have to be on that side, on the Strait of Hormuz side of the mountains. They can't fire them from the other side of the mountains because they would have to go up over the mountains and down. And the same thing with, that's why they have to be there. So you don't have to go over the mountains. You just got to get that area on the side, this side of the mountains. 3 robbers, 2 rest in peace. Third was killed weeks later in another robbery. Good. He interrupted Marco. Yeah, he did. So thousands of U.S. Marines will be sent to the Middle East to conduct raids and special operations. American military operations enter a second month on Saturday following U.S.-Israeli joint attacks on Iranian facilities on February 28th. I don't know. Is it windward or leeward? I don't know. Windward side, leeward side? I don't know. Trump has not publicly announced the Pentagon's proposal whether he would approve any portion of the plans. Lee and windward? Guns of Navarone? Okay. It's a job of the Pentagon to make preparations in order to give the commander-in-chief maximum optionality. It doesn't mean the president has made a decision. Troop movement would fall short of a full invasion. Roughly 10,000 American troops are being considered for deployment last week to boost the already significant military presence. I saw something that said there was 50,000. It's in the crosswords. Okay. Potential reinforcement would add nearly 5,000 Marines and sailors, roughly 2,000 members of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division. Hey, and Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and MAGA. Well, that's weird thing to say. He was an actual Marine. Okay. It's not clear whether the troops would land as joint strikes have targeted both the capital of Tehran and other military infrastructure closer to the Gulf, including Karg Island. I would think any troops are going to not go near Tehran. They're going to be on the, closer to the Gulf areas, targeting any missile locations, looking for any storages, stuff like that. That's what they'll be looking for. American presence on Karg Island, Iran's primary oil export hub, would stop the regime from making money on oil production while also stopping Tehran from targeting critical infrastructure. Ah. It's like taking a chess piece off the board and putting another bargaining chip in your pocket. They aren't going to parachute anyway, most likely. Probably not. I mean, unless they were going to. The only reason we would parachute in would be to take like an airport or something like that. I mean, that's really all. If we're going to take like an airfield, we would parachute in to take the airfield. Trump warned the Islamic Republic officials on Thursday to get serious soon about negotiating an end to the war before it's too late. Well, he's been saying that for a while. He told them either give up now, surrender, give up your arms. The Iranian negotiators are very different and strange. They are begging us to make a deal, which they should be doing since they have been militarily obliterated with zero chance of comeback. They better get serious before it's too late, Trump says. You better get serious before it's too late. Okay. And we got this story. We got Spanish socialist leader declares airspace off limits to U.S. planes. This clown. This fucking idiot. In early March, Spain broke with European powers and barred American use of bases in the escalating Middle East conflict. The decision marks a sharp divergence from other major European powers that have signaled willingness to back what they describe as proportionate defensive action. Flight tracking data from Flight Radar showed that at least 15 American aircraft departed the Rota Naval Base and Moron Air Base in southern Spain following the weekend attacks. Several of those aircraft were identified as KC-135 Stratotanker air refueling planes. At least 7 of the aircraft were track landing at Ramstein Air Base in Germany. Others were seen heading towards France, though some flight paths were not publicly visible. Like, I guess this guy don't need to be in NATO no more. Maybe Spain should go on their own. Spain breaks with European powers, bars American use of bases. On Monday, Spanish Defense Minister Margarita Robles announced that Spain has closed its airspace to U.S. planes. Margarita added that via the AP, it was made perfectly clear to the American military and forces from the beginning. Therefore, neither the bases are authorized, nor, of course, is the use of Spanish airspace authorized for any actions related to the war in Iran. The last time Spain refused to allow the U.S. from using air bases in the country for the war in Iran, President Trump threatened to cut off oil trade, all trade with Spain. That's what I say. Fuck them. What do we want to get, Spanish olives? Knife attack was on the Max Line train station. Victim called the attempted leader an N-word. Jury acquitted him in Portland. Wow. Have you seen the video of the Isfahan strike? You talking about the original Isfahan strike, or did they strike it again? Yes. Go fuck yourself, as Elon would say. Prime beef. Lee Marvin. Yeah, Lee Marvin was a great actor. President Trump cuts off all trade with Spain. That's what I would do. I would cut off all trade. Yeah, Spain is run by a bunch of fucking commies. Yes, it is.
In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases. And that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it. But we don't have to. But they were unfriendly. And so I told him that we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they would have agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Wow, awesome. Fuck them. Fuck them in the ear. Yes. This is the most badass president of my lifetime. I love him because he loves our country. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Is Spain in NATO? Yes, Spain is in NATO. That's why I don't know how much longer. Great opening scene, Slaughterhouse. Rest in peace, Gene Hackman. Well, Gene Hackman's been dead for quite a while. All right, did it scroll across the bottom something about Gene Hackman? He's been dead for quite a while. Well, keep clapping. You're not going to be clapping for long.
Minister, Spain has closed its airspace to US planes involved in attacks on Iran, in addition to not allowing them to use the Moron and Rota military bases. That move was confirmed by Spanish Defense Minister Margarita Robles on Monday.
We don't authorize either the use of military bases or the use of airspace for actions related to the war in Iran.
The restrictions forced the US to bypass NATO member Spain as its planes fly en route to their targets in the Middle East as part of the US-Israeli war on Iran. Last week, Prime Minister Pedro...
this guy needs to get a sample. He's going to have to get a sample. It says Spain is tracking and closing airspace to U.S. aircraft participating in the war. Spain has closed its airspace to flights involving the United States. You know, we need to just fly over them with some B-2 bombers. That's what we should do. What are you going to do? You going to get froggy? Spain has closed its airspace. Citing unnamed military sources, reports the Spanish government has not only prohibited the use of the bases by in Seville by fighter jets or in-flight refueling aircraft, but it also is barring the use of its airspace. I would just fly over it and tell them to fucking do something about it, and then maybe we'll just go after Spain next because, you know, Spain has been fucked ever since Franco fell. It's the problem of our working across the pond. It sucks. Yeah, I say fly over their ass anyway and see what they do. What are they going to do? They're not going to do shit unless they want to go at it. Next, you see Wiener at the hot dog making machine eating raw hot dogs. Okay. Time to cancel all visas from Spain. Yeah, that's what I would do. Trump posted the video. Cows coming in. U.S. forces have targeted a major ammunition depot in Isfahan. Strike involved 2,000-pound bunker busters. Significant number of penetrator munitions were used. We have new 5,000-pound ones, too. So, we have new 5,000-pound ones, too. So, this is what you guys are talking about, I believe. President Trump posted video of a massive airstrike and explosions on Iranian ICBM base in Isfahan. Hoffa dogs. Okay, Hoffa dogs. President Trump on Monday evening posted a video of explosions in a massive wave of airstrikes that hit an ICBM base late Monday evening. The U.S.-Israeli airstrikes lit up the night sky very early Tuesday morning local time. 5,000 is crazy. Yeah, they got the new 5,000-pound bunker busters. They're bigger. Bigger, better, better. U.S.-Israeli airstrikes lit up the night sky early Tuesday morning. Witnesses have captured intense U.S.-Israeli airstrikes on Isfahan, a city in Iran with a population of 2.3 million and home to the Badr military air base. Watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
If you have to wipe more than 4 times after you poop, here's why.
The Mayo Clinic confirms that stuff.
That's some big bombs, man. I don't like that they put an ad on a video that they don't own the video. It's Trump's video. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of secondary explosions. That means they hit stuff, that actually blew up. That's not from our bombs doing that. Those are all secondary explosions. Operation Epic Fury, a joint military operation, began on February 28th. So far, the military operations involved the U.S. Air Force and Navy. The U.S. military has not decimated Iran's missile infrastructure, because if they decimated, why don't we use 30,000-pound bunker busters? I don't think. I don't think that's even physically possible. I mean, they have to. The bunker busters, like, basically, they take like a tank barrel, like a barrel from. They used to take a barrel from like a 105 or a 155 howitzer or something like that, or like an M1 Abrams. Maybe they're using an Abrams tank barrel now, something like that, and they make the bomb out of that. That way, it'll penetrate into the ground because that metal is super hard and everything, so it doesn't crack and stuff like that. It'll go right into the ground. Wait, can you go back to the commercial? No. Can only fly one in the B-2s? Yeah. 30,000? Oh, okay. Make the weather harp with a B-2? Maybe with a 30,000-pound bomb. But I think a lot of those Moab is next to Dirty Bomb. Yeah, I think the Moab, though, is one of those things that they fly in like isn't that like a air fuel bomb or fuel air bomb, where it's like a big giant thing that they push out of the back of a C-130 or something like that, right? Like it's huge. Last week, CBS News reported that senior military commandos are preparing for plans for a possible ground invasion. President Trump appeared to dispute the leak. No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you, but I'm not putting troops, Trump told reporters. Yeah, if I wasn't going to tell you, but I'm not. What? Say what? Say what? Say what? The Wall Street Journal reported that President Trump was preparing to end the conflict with Iran. The Wall Street Journal on Monday evening reported that President Trump told aides that it would wind down the war with Iran without completely reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon is holding a press briefing on Operation Epic Fury on Tuesday morning. At 8 a.m. tomorrow is going to be a press conference. Moab is pretty much crate dropped. That's what I thought. It's like pushed out of the back. I remember the A-10 Warthogs 88 when mobilized 88 in the Funda Gap. Brrrt! Rusky. Yeah. Might be 2 in the B-2. I thought the B-2 had like a 50,000-pound capacity. Maybe it's more than that. Hey, Republican Sentinel, great to see you. Republican Sentinel, great to see you. They had to hit the exact same spot on the nuke facilities. One after another. Okay. All right. Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Ding, 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 ding. All right, then we got this story, which I thought was very interesting when I saw it. China assembles fleet of attack drones near Taiwan. Satellite image shows Chinese J-6 farmer jets stationed at 6 bases that would take minutes to reach the island. Oh, Longting Air Base. J-6 jets converted into drones. Satellite imagery. What? Are you serious? Are you serious? Oh man, you know what? This is ridiculous. I ain't doing this. Skip. No. Skip. So here we go. Damn it, man. That was a rough thing to try to get through this. Russians were scared. Bert. A-10 Warthogs. Yep. Mm-hmm. Kahlua, Bailey's, and Grand Mariner, B-52. B-2 Spirit bomber has a maximum payload capacity of 40,000 pounds. Okay. All right. Satellite imagery shows China has assembled a fleet of attack drones converted from fighter jets just a short distance from Taiwan. At least 200 of the country's J-6W drones have been deployed to bases across from Taiwan Strait, where they would take minutes to reach the territory and potentially overwhelm its air defenses. Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, has ordered the military to be ready to attack Taiwan by 2027 and raised the prospect that it could be used within months. Satellite imagery analyzed by the Mitchell Institute for Aerospace Studies show the Chinese J-6 farmer jets, which were developed in the 1950s with the help of the Soviet Union, stationed at 6 bases located near the island. We still have the rods from God. Yes, we do. Man, I just lost a whole bunch of viewers. What happened? We were over 100. Now we just dropped down to 60. Did someone else go live? Yes, someone else did. Someone else did. What do you know? What do you say? The J-6 is effectively obsolete as a fighter aircraft, but was recycled into a drone that could employ kamikaze tactics without endangering the lives of Chinese pilots. They haven't used them yet. Yeah. I saw that, Brian Ogden. Researchers had suggested that they could carry air-to-air missiles, anti-ship missiles, runway cratering bombs, and unguided rockets. Capable of flying at more than 1.45 times the speed of sound, the J-6Ws would effectively function as cruise missiles, according to J. Michael Dam, a former U.S. Naval Intelligence officer. Oh, well, thank you, Lisa. You're sticking with Jim. Tungsten rods the size of telephone poles. Yeah, yep. Tungsten is like super heavy. Mr. Dam, who compiled the report using satellite imagery and open source intelligence, said they would be used in the first hours of invasion of Taiwan. They will attack Taiwan, U.S. or allied targets in large numbers, effectively overwhelming air defenses. The converter drones will be used to exhaust Taiwan's air defense systems in the first wave of an attack. They're from the 50s. They can be taken out pretty easily with like machine gun fire, like from air, like old AA air defenses. They don't need really missiles to take those down. Taiwan would be forced to use expensive missiles to prevent the drones from striking high-value targets. China's Air Force exhibited the J-6Ws at the Chengtong Air Show in September, describing it as a modified version of the J-6 fighter jet. Its cannons had been removed and had been equipped with automatic control systems, according to a notice. Close-up shots saw the pilot seat in the cockpit taken out. The aircraft was identified at 5 bases in Fujian Province and Zhizhou Airport, Longting Airspace, Hiwang Longtang Airport, and Jingchongchangshan Airport. It also present at Jingjiangdong Airport and Guangdong Province. The closest of these, Longtan, is located just 135 miles from the Taiwanese capital of Taipei and could make the journey in around 7 minutes. Seems unlikely. My high school physics force vectors disagree. To everyone hold. I'm going to Braveheart it tonight as well. This month, a U.S. intelligence report claimed China had postponed its invasion plans and would instead try to seize Taiwan without using force. But in December, a Pentagon report supplied to Congress said China expects to be able to fight and win a war on Taiwan by the end of 2027. Some believe 2028 represents a more likely timeline for the Chinese invasion. However, Peter Layton, a former Australian aye mighty, Air Force group captain who worked at the Pentagon, said China can launch a large attack wave combining aircraft flying missiles at different trajectories and both fast and slow drones. That would be a lot of diverse things coming all at the same time. It would be an air defense nightmare. Eric Gomez, a research fellow with the Taiwan Security Monitor who has war-gamed Chinese invasion, said the J-6Ws would likely be used for cover for the more modern drones or missiles. He added the drones are based on a very old fighter design, which should mean relatively large radar signatures. You have these drones drawing a lot of attention or otherwise cluttering up the sensor picture for Taiwan's air defenders, which would soak up some air defense munitions that could not be used to intercept more advanced capabilities. Mr. Gomez said the size and weight of the converted fighter jet means a kamikaze-style attack could be very damaging to soft targets like civilian buildings, power plants, and fuel storage facilities. China often looked to the past when developing weapons for potential attack on Taiwan. It developed D-Day-style barges, which would be used to open up multiple fronts on the island, deploy a bridge to bypass impassable ground, and send in tanks and heavy vehicles for an amphibious invasion. Ryan says the fiber optics drones are crazy. Taiwanese forces have previously based defense plans on the assumption that an attack by the People's Liberation Army would take place at a handful of strongly defended ports. The U.S. longstanding policy on Taiwan has been to deter an invasion by maintaining a military advantage over Beijing that would make the invasion too costly for its regime to countenance. Lisa Day for another 10 says more news. Thank you so much, Lisa. That means with that, we are now just $10, folks, just $10 away from adding an extra hour to the show. Just 10. We're just 10 away. We got $10 in about 10 minutes. Just getting warmed up. Thank you. However, China is thought to have closed that gap in the arms race in recent years, while the war in Iran has drained the U.S. arsenal and could limit the flow of arms to Taiwan. According to its report from the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, and the U.S. is at most a month away from depleting its arsenal of THAAD air defenses and ATACMS and PRSM ground attack missiles. In 16 days of war with Iran, the U.S. has burned through 320 precision missiles known as PRSMs and its older counterparts, ATACMS. PRSMs were developed to repel an invasion of Taiwan and, with a range of 300 miles, are capable of sinking Chinese warships before they start to cross the strait. They can be fired from mobile launchers, which are difficult to target and destroy. Well, wouldn't there be a bunch of those already in Taiwan then? If that's what they were, why would they already be there? We don't have the stock. Okay. Catherine Thompson, a former Pentagon official, told the Telegraph that the demands of the war would diminish the U.S. ability to counter Chinese invasion of Taiwan. There had been a disquiet among China hawks about the stance of Trump's administration. According to a report from the Pentagon published in January, China is no longer considering its top security threat. Why? Why wouldn't it be a top security threat? Our goal is not to dominate China nor to strangle or humiliate them, the National Defense Strategy, which made no mention of Taiwan, said. America law dictates that Washington should provide the territory with enough arms to defend itself against Beijing, with Congress agreeing to a $1 billion package of military support at the end of last year. The U.S. National Security Strategy in November declared that stopping a Taiwan conflict was a priority because of the damage it would cause to the economy and shipping disruption on the South China Sea. However, it said that the U.S. would pivot away from the Middle East, having raised questions about its relevance 4 weeks into the Iran war. Oh, what do you know? Gonna pivot away. Pivot away, my friend. Pivot away, my friend. China stations jet turned into drones at bases. Yeah, I would think they're going to be very big. You know what I mean? They're going to have the problem's going to be they're so big. So big. So big. AOC, next story. AOC faces House Ethics and FEC complaint for spending campaign funds on a doctor who specializes in ketamine therapy. That's right. She spent like $9,000 or $19,000 on a doctor that just prescribes ketamine for people. Huh. Seems like that would be a problem. And she seems like she did this specifically to hide it from everybody that she was getting this done because she thought no one would find out that she spent campaign funds on it. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has come to the crosshairs of an ethics complaint for using campaign contributions for personal use after allegedly spending almost $19,000 on a psychiatrist who is known for specializing in ketamine therapy. The National Legal and Policy Center filed a joint complaint with the Federal Elections Commission and the House Ethics Committee on Friday. It reads, NLPC alleges that AOC expenditure of almost $19,000 of campaign funds in 2025 to a psychiatrist, Dr. Brian W. Boyle, ostensibly for leadership training and consulting, was expended instead for personal psychiatric services provided to AOC or members of her campaign staff. Accordingly, these expenses were also misreported by the campaign committee with the FEC. NLPC requests that the FEC and OCC immediately investigate the facts and circumstances of these payments and impose appropriate penalties and disciplinary sanctions against AOC. Huh. Yeah, she definitely needs a psychiatrist. Definitely needs a psychiatrist. Definitely needs a psychiatrist. Well. What is ketamine therapy? Ketamine is an extremely strong sedative that they they use it on horses and cats and stuff like that and animals. How much for overtime? We are $10 away, Joe. $10 away for an additional hour. 10 away. 10 away. 10 away. Sailing away. Hey, Jim, have you checked all your pay platforms? What does it need for... Oh, let me check. Hold on. I didn't check. I'm sorry. Uh-oh.
Tactical assessment. Red Chinese victory. Impossible. America will never fall to communist invasion. Communism is the very definition of failure.
Thank you so much, Jonathan Marcos, for $10 on Cash App. With that gives us the goal met for an extra hour. So let me fix this real quick. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Downtown DCAT, thank you for letting me know. Let me fix the banner. That away. So now we do this. With that means we are 100 away from a second additional hour. Thank you so much. AOC needed mushrooms, maybe. Hey, Doc, what's up? Great to see you. Awesome having you here. Let me double check some other stuff here just to make sure. Ko-fi, nothing. Super tips. Nothing on super tips. Okay. Locals coins, nothing. Okay. Let's see here. Rants. Nothing on rants. Okay. All right. Let me check PayPal real quick. Take 1 second. Just to make sure. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh. Okay. March 30th. All right. I didn't notice there was another $10. Thank you so much. Whoever this was, SG. Is this you, Downtown Geek Cat? Is this you for the $10? Thank you so much. On PayPal, never heard of hiring a psychiatrist for leadership training. Well, this doctor specializes in ketamine therapy. So that means we are now 90 away. We're now 90 away from the second additional hour. Someone gave 10. SG, whoever SG is, I don't want to say their name. If that's Downtown DCAT, thank you very much on PayPal. Thank you. All righty. And we still got 5 minutes on this goal. As soon as that ends, I will start another hour and go from there. So it says here, it reads, the alleged expenditure of $19,000 for campaign funds to psychiatrist Brian W. Boyle, essentially for leadership training consultant, was expended instead for personal psychiatric services provided to AOC and members of campaign staff. Accordingly, those expenses were also misreported to the campaign committee, from the campaign committee to FEC. And the NLPC requests that the FEC and OCC immediately investigate the facts and circumstances of these payments and impose appropriate penalties and disciplinary sanctions against AOC. However, there's reason to believe that Dr. Boyle does not provide campaign leadership training. Consulting complaint continues, highlighting his specialty in depression and his status as a leading authority on ketamine therapy. Yes, that's right. Truth is, I was in the hospital, left on Saturday morning, got my antibiotics this morning. Other than that, I'm well. Glad to hear you're good too. Oh my God, I hope you're okay, Joe. Hope you're okay. You're okay. The complaint further provides receipts of the expenditures from FEC data. Paul Kamenar, the group's general counsel, told the New York Post, AOC spending almost $19,000 in campaign funds for a shrink appears to violate both the FEC and health ethics rules, prohibiting use of such funds for personal purposes. He added, while AOC has been in therapy in the past, she should spend her own money if she needs psychiatric treatments from Brian Boyle, whose specialty includes narcissistic personality disorder. That's a shot at the AOC. From the New York Post, Boyle, the chief psychiatric officer at Stella, a chain of mental health clinics focusing on novel therapies popular with Hollywood and Wall Street, received 4 payments from the socialist politicians' campaign last year, totaling $18,725. The expenses were marked as leadership training and consulting. Really? Imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's what she has, imposter syndrome. However, it's unclear what the sessions consisted of or who participated. Ocasio-Cortez's campaign did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Boyle, a Harvard-trained doctor, calls himself an interventional psychiatrist and specializes in unorthodox methods for treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, and anxiety. Well, maybe she was suffering. Maybe she was suffering from PTSD for the trauma she had from January 6th. She admitted to that. Yeah, maybe. Sudafed Smurfer researcher here from the Portland in the 90s. We care about community. And go ahead, Frisky. You can take off. Go on. You can get out. Yeah, community and faith. You can get out, Frisky. Go on, go. You can get out. Go ahead. Stop it. Stop chewing on the wires. It's not the first time AOC has come under fire for ethics violations. As the Gateway Pundit previously reported, AOC was previously found guilty of an ethics violation after the House committee found that she impermissibly accepted more than $3,700 worth of apparel and accessories and a $35,000 Met Gala ticket for her then boyfriend Riley Roberts during her infamous tax the rich dress stunt. I thought she wasn't there. The cat? No, the cat's in here. The cat's still in the room. She's going under the bed, and then she's acting on my leg, and looks like I need to start tracking accounts here. Tiffany. What's that say? Tiffany. Who's Tiffany? Where's Tiffany? What is going on? Hold on. That's Ezeko Anime. I don't know what that person is. AOC on J6. Yeah. Refocus. I'm trying. Wait, what just happened? It's a developing story. So that's that. And legal insurrection is going to have a little bit more on it. AOC accused of masking therapy as a $19,000 campaign expense. Oh, I got to fix Bill. Yeah. I got to fix Bill's camera. Hold on. There we go. Joe says, don't let Jim go to sleep early. No de gym domero temparo. Join him in an early rally for an additional 2 hours. Wow. Yes, we have one extra hour already. And with that 5, that means we are now $85 away, just $85 away from a second additional hour. Thank you so much, Joe. Greatly appreciated. Question, do you see us existing in Iran next couple of weeks? Will we reopen the Strait of Hormuz first? I hope so. It's a bot and fell into the trap by reading at its chat. Okay. Crocodile zombie drug, Kensington elephant tranquilizer. Oh, God. What's up? I have nightmares about Christmas vacation and the cat. Oh, yeah, that's terrible, right? Occasional cortex of Michael Savage. Okay, I get it. We're still here. Awesome. Thanks for being here. What is this idiot on my screen? I don't know. She's just there. A government watchdog has filed a complaint accusing Ocasio-Cortez of misusing campaign funds. We already read it. We already got to the story. We're just looking to see. So, Boston-based psychiatrist, those payments were disclosed as a campaign expense. It's hard to believe AOC's use of campaign funds to pay a psychiatrist who has no experience in leadership training and was not for a bona fide campaign or political purposes, but rather personal psychiatric therapy. So, if it turns out, I mean, they'll probably try to hide it and say, like, he can't tell because if he says he can't discuss what it is because she's a patient, then you know what it is. Federal law bars campaign funds from being used for personal expenses. The filing also focuses on Boyle's practice. He describes himself as an interventional psychiatrist with treating depression, PTSD, and anxiety through ketamine-based therapies. Did Bella move yet? Oh, Bella jumped around when the cat went by. And then this is Marlowe show AOC's ketamine therapist, celebrity male vitality. Can the Shah return? Oh, let's see. What is this?
Trisha Heaton looks great at 67. Here is her #1 secret. Regular milk or oat milk?
Oh, right. Today's show is sponsored by Lear Capital, the precious metals leaders.
Is down as and so.
Oh, I'm like, this is an hour long. I don't know. I'm not gonna watch that. So AOC's taking ketamine for whatever reason. And then we got this story. It says Trump mulls taking Iranian oil, seizing Karg Island. I have so much faith. I played my acoustic like a wild man. No bands are needed. Pin the tail on the donkey. Yeah, that's AOC. Pin the tail on the donkey. All right, let me see here. So, yep, goal ended. Let me fix the goal here. Let me do a new goal for one more hour over here on YouTube. We are 85 away of adding. I think we are. Let me double check. Make sure. Or redo it. Nothing there, nothing there. Nothing here. Nothing here. Right? Nothing there. Okay. Nothing there, nothing there. Okay. All right, let me fix this and go new goal. Start a new goal. 20 super chats, $5 or greater for 1 hour. We are currently $85 away from adding a second additional hour to the show. Okay. Goal started. We got 1 hour to get 85, and we can add a second additional hour. You should be a mod, actually. Where? Here? Taylor 12 guitar here. Only God knows why. President Trump on March 29th suggested that he was considering taking Iran's oil and seizing Karg Island. Actually, that's not exactly what happened. We saw what he said. He said, well, I wouldn't tell you if I was, but I guess I could, sure, but I haven't talked about it. But why would I talk about it to you? He was considering seizing the oil in Karg Island, Tehran's key oil export hub, as thousands of U.S. troops were deployed to the Middle East. Can you do a reaction of Eva's Sunday show? There was a lot of doozies. You're talking about yesterday's show? I did not watch their show at all yesterday. In an interview with the Financial Times, Trump said his preference would be to take the oil, liking it to the U.S. operation in Venezuela that resulted in Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro's ouster and U.S. control over the country's oil industry. To be honest with you, my favorite thing to take is the oil in Iran, but some stupid people back in the U.S. say, why are you doing that? But they're stupid people. A bunch of stupid people don't want us to take the oil. Why wouldn't you take the oil? It's just there. Take it. Trump said the move can involve seizing Karg Island. Yes, Jonathan Marcos, thank you for your help too. You gave 10 on Cash App, and someone else, I think it was Downtown DCAT, gave $10 on PayPal. I believe it was Downtown DCAT on PayPal. And it says they could seize Karg Island, which he believes it could be achieved very easily, while noting that there are other options the United States can consider. Maybe we take Karg Island, maybe we don't. We have a lot of options. It would also mean we had to be there in Karg Island for a while. As Marx came as the USS Tripoli from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We will fight our country's battles on the land and on the sea. They arrived in the Middle East on March 27th with more than 3,500 U.S. sailors and Marines on board as the United States seeks to bolster its military posture in the region. Submarine war, yes. Yes, we turned all their ships into submarines. Karg Island, which is located 16 miles off Iran's coast, is in the Persian Gulf and roughly 300 miles northwest of the Strait of Hormuz. Carries about 90% of Iran's oil exports. On March 13, Trump said in a Truth Social post that the U.S. forces had totally obliterated all military targets on Karg Island in what he described as one of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East. Hold on one second. I just got a notification. Let me see what it is. Sorry. One of the most powerful bombing raids in the history of the Middle East. The strike included naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, multiple other military sites on the island. In his post, Trump said he would reconsider his decision to spare the oil infrastructure if Iran or any other country does anything to disrupt shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical waterway through which a significant share of the global oil trade and gas shipments pass. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz has been disrupted since the United States and Israel began military operations against Iran. In February, the Iran has retaliated by firing missiles and drones at Israel and U.S. military assets. Yes. Trump said on March 27th that talks are ongoing between the two sides. The president had earlier warned that he would direct the U.S. military to strike Iranian energy infrastructure if the strait isn't reopened. He gave Tehran a 48-hour deadline. He then scrapped the deadline and on March 23rd imposed a 5-day deadline. And then he extended it to March 26th for another 10 days. To April 6th, at a request from the Iranian regime. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has warned it could shut the access to the strait and target energy facilities and nations across the Middle East that host U.S. forces if the United States or Israel attacks its energy infrastructure. Very interesting. Very interesting. This says, Karg is back on Trump's mind. What seizing Iran's oil lifeline could trigger. Trump revives take the oil. Donald Trump has revived an idea he first floated decades ago, as early as 1988, telling the Financial Times on March 28th that he still considered whether to seize Karg Island. At the center of the strategy is Karg Island, a small but vital outpost in the Arabian Gulf that underpins Iran's oil exports. The reference to 1988 dates back to the final phase of the Iran-Iraq War when the Gulf was engulfed in what become known as the tanker wars, a period marked by attacks on oil tankers and energy infrastructure that raised fears of global supply shock. At the time, the United States has deployed forces to protect shipping lanes. It was in that context that a younger Donald Trump argued that if Washington was safeguarding the Gulf oil flows, it should also take the oil. Yes. You don't think it'll ever happen? You think that's why Iran is standing strong? Well, we'll see. Even then, Karg Island stood at the center of that logic. Iran's main oil export terminal was a prime target during the tanker wars. It was the most obvious focal point of such thinking. UAE wants the oil? Okay. At the time, the United States has deployed forces to protect shipping lanes, bearing the military costs of securing the region. It was in that context that a younger Donald Trump then a New York businessman, argued in paid newspaper advertisements that if Washington was safeguarded and deployed, they should also take the oil. It's just exactly the same thing that just said there. They're repeating the same thing. Look at this. They're repeating the same shit. What they do for decades. Oil revenues remain central to the country's economy. Unlike conventional strikes on bases and weapon systems, targeting cargo would represent a shift towards economic warfare. It says in 88, I was in theater, Strait of Hormuz, border Fulda Gap, watching T-72 tanks mobilized near Dresden. Why CARG matters and handles 90% of their crude exports. It's a strategic choke point and it's a high-stakes move. At the same time, as he some remarks, a strategic signaling, an attempt to raise stakes and push negotiations. Despite its appeal as a target, CARG Island would be far from simple. Any attempt to take control would likely require sustained military operations, not just airstrikes, exposing U.S. forces to prolonged engagement and counterattacks. Imagine if Saudi and the Emirates get together. Oh, yeah. Supposedly, they're the ones that want him to go and put ground troops in. Holding the island would present even greater challenges. Such a move would also carry significant legal and diplomatic consequences. Targeting or seizing a country's primary economic infrastructure could be viewed as an act of war. Is this people retarded? We're bombing the shit out of them. And you think seizing an island is an act of war. Okay. Raising questions under international law and potential complicating support from ally. Historically, these risks, along with fears of escalation, have deterred direct attacks on Iran's oil export system. Could Iran bypass CARG? While Iran has explored alternate export routes and terminals, none match the scale, efficiency, or capacity of CARG Island. That makes its critical vulnerability. But that's not about an absolute single point of failure. Limited exports could continue, but at significantly reduced levels, amplifying the economic impact. Yeah, they could still get rid of 10% of their oil, I guess. We totted. Yes. The risk of escalation. The consequence would likely extend far beyond Iran. Tehran has repeatedly warned that attacks on its economic infrastructure would trigger retaliation. They've already been attacking other places' economic infrastructure. They hit that gas field. They hit oil fields in Saudi. That places renewed focus on the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical energy corridors. Any disruption there would have immediate global implications. For Gulf countries, including key energy producers, the risk would be direct, raising security concerns around infrastructure and shipping lanes. We totted, Walt. Ultimately, targeting CARG reflects a high-risk calculation. It could deliver a sharp economic blow and increase pressure on Iran's leadership, but it's also risk widening the conflict, destabilizing global energy markets, and drawing the region into deeper confrontation. What is framed as leverage could quickly become a trigger. Oh, okay. Hey, is the Iraq dinar revalue a deal a scam? I have no idea. I have no clue. Probably. Wow, look at this. It says Senior NR. Stephen NR, Senior Associate Editor. Interesting. Same thing from Newsmax here. Trump mulls seizing CARG Island oil terminal.
So maybe our objectives are a little different here, so let's course correct. So this narrative of his being unduly influenced by a foreign government is simply untrue, and that proves it. Now, in terms of the energy issues, we do produce more than anybody else here at home, but of course we are tied to global energy markets and we are part of that ecosystem. And so those high prices do affect us here at home. So I do think, this is something the president and the administration are very mindful of. They want to make sure those prices start to come back down by the time we get to Memorial Day and summer driving season. So I think that's why they're accelerating the tempo right now to get this operation efficiently wrapped up.
Wow. Yeah, the EU just voted to start deporting illegals.
Even though it's
I saw that. Trump must openly muse about seizing CARG Island. All right. Well, I think we covered this enough about CARG Island. We got this interesting story, which I don't really understand because I'm not Sunni, Shia, Wahhabi. Yeah. The Iraq a dollar is supposed to become of great value. Okay, I don't know. A 401k alternative asset rule proposed by the Labor Department. Labor Department proposed a rule on including alternative assets in 401ks following. Can you stop doing that? Following Donald Trump's directing regulators to expand access. Alternative investments are a broad category that includes real estate, cryptocurrencies, and private market assets such as private equity and private credit. Oh, well, that would. So 401k plans are already not prohibited from including such assets. Fears of lawsuits challenging their investment decisions have kept most plan sponsors on the sideline. So a rule that would allow 401k plans to more easily include alternative assets. So they can include real estate. So you could buy real estate in your 401k and keep it as your retirement? Is that what it's saying? A release in August, which directed the Labor Department and Securities Exchange Commission to facilitate expanded access. This proposed rule would show how plans can consider products that better reflect the investment landscape. So I don't know. Proponents say including alternative investments could provide retirement savers with greater diversification away from public markets. But some financial advisors have expressed concerns that many 401k investors lack the knowledge or experience to incorporate these more sophisticated investments, which can be riskier and more costly. So, okay. Labor Department's proposal comes as private credit markets are under stress from investor redemptions and concerns about overexposure to software investments amid artificial intelligence disruptions. It says 401k plans are already not prohibited from including alts. Fears of lawsuits challenging their investment decisions mostly kept plan sponsors on the sidelines. I think it is. Don't leave. You get locked up for 2 years. What? The beginning of history was in that area. Communist world banking elites use 3-step forward and 2-step back method to gain control of the free world. Trump's 2-step back stage. Vote. Yeah. My question is the Iraq dinar's future value. I don't know. I know the Canadian Donair or whatever it is. It's like the Dong Air. Was that like some kind of weird food they sell? Donair? Donair? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I don't talk about stuff if I don't know anything about it. A desalination plant is operational in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara. Yes, it's Santa Barbara. The retail revolution in alts. Here's what investors need to know. Okay, well, maybe.
Some of the world's largest asset managers are here at the CASE conference. They want to make their products more accessible to you, to retail, to investors like all of you. Leslie Picker joining us now with more on that side of the story. Following the money as always, Leslie.
Hey, Scott. Yeah, call it the retail revolution or the democratization of alt. It's one of the biggest untapped markets for asset managers right now. You just heard Robert Frank give those statistics about how fast the industry is growing. Well, retail investors' allocations to private capital are projected to grow from $80 billion today to about $2.4 trillion in the United States by 2030. That's according to Deloitte, which defines retail here as those deemed non-accredited by financial regulators. That includes individuals with net worth under $1 million, excluding their primary residence. There are several different types of vehicles that give retail investors more liquidity than a traditional alternative asset fund. However, usually these come with extra layers of fees relative to institutional funds. And Moody's recently warned that these funds designed for retail, while growing in popularity, could create broader risks for the U.S. economy due to some of the illiquidity concerns there. Full coverage from myself and Robert Frank, of course, can be found in that monthly newsletter that you mentioned. You can subscribe using the QR code on your screen.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds interesting. Greg says he visited Warsaw Pact countries in 2005. Awesome peeps, but horrible governments. Yeah, the governments suck. The governments suck. They suck. This saying WKZO says U.S. pays way for private assets to be included in 401k retirement plans. So I don't know about this. I don't know if this is good or bad. I'm not like a financial advisor or anything like that. But it says the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, accounts more than half of its 14 trillion assets under management is linked to retirement. It's among many industry members and groups to applaud the move. So I have to say though, if BlackRock is applauding it, we're probably getting screwed. That's all I will say because BlackRock sucks. Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts criticized the proposal, saying it would expose retirement plans to risky assets at a time when prices are falling and cracks are emerging. Some skeptics welcome the fact that the length of the proposed rule, which spans more than 160 pages, shows its authors wrestle with questions such as high fees. That's good to see, although it would have been better if they had just devoted some time to recent market problems and with valuations and liquidity, says Henry Hu, professor of finance at University of Texas, Austin School of Law. John Toomey, CEO of the $147 billion private equity firm HarborVest, told Reuters that the new rule comes down to basic good practice. It's all really about, do you follow the right process? Do you have the right information? Do you take the decision with the interest of individuals front and center? I guess that's what they're talking about. That's how they want it to go. We got this story. This is good news, right? A lot of people betting on the dollar falling. Donair is gyros on a pita with some bland sauce. Okay. Do you think our man in the Iran is that Trump? Who do you think the man in Iran is that Trump is talking to? I don't know. Dick Morris. The United States has formally reopened its embassy in Caracas, Venezuela, after the restoration of full diplomatic relations with the South American country following the Trump administration's ouster of then-President Nicolás Maduro in early January. The State Department announced on Monday that it resumed normal operations at the embassy in Caracas, which has been in need of significant repair, including remediations from mold after a 7-year closure that began during President Trump's first term. Rodney says, is oil getting destroyed to usher in electric cars? I don't think so. Because you can't power the electric cars without fossil fuels. You just can't. A small team of U.S. diplomats based in neighboring Colombia has been working in Caracas for more than a month, but the embassy itself has not been reopened. The resumption of operations at the U.S. Embassy in Caracas is a key milestone in implementing the president's three-phase plan for Venezuela and will strengthen our ability to engage directly with the Venezuelan internal government, interim government, civil society, and private sector. State Department said in a statement, it said the move marked a new chapter in our diplomatic presence in Venezuela. Why is gold so strong? I heard gold dropped 20% the other day. Either burn oil to charge batteries or burn it in the cars. Yeah. Said the move marked a new chapter in our diplomatic presence. Okay. Just the news. Just says U.S. reopens Caracas Embassy after 7 years. American Special Forces extracted Maduro from the country in early January. State Department stated the move will strengthen our ability to engage directly. So that's it. That's the story. Yep. Same thing from AP. The U.S. reopens embassy in Venezuela months after military operation. Only out is nuclear plants unless to get fusion going. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I know. Trump says deal will probably be reached soon, or else he'll blow up Iran. Says the former Shah's exiled son is a speaker at CPAC. Oh my God. Is he gonna talk, or are they just gonna?
President Trump was right when he said, we don't want to come back every 2 years. But if a faction of the regime is left in power, that is exactly what will happen. It will buy time. It will pretend to negotiate. And then it will return to its old jihadist ways of threatening America, its security, and its interests. The Iranian people have a fighting chance to end this regime of terror and chaos. The regime's repressive machine has been degraded, its terror network cut off, and its leadership decimated. But for this all to be worth it, the sacrifices of both Americans and Iranians, for the goodwill between our two people, which you see on vibrant display here today. To continue, we must finish the job. This regime in its entirety must go. What we ask of America now is simple. Stay the course. Do not throw this crumbling regime a lifeline. Pave the way for the Iranian people to finish the job.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, sounds pretty good. Paved the way for the Iranian people to finish the job. President Trump said Monday that a deal with Iran was probably close to winding down the conflict, but warned the U.S. would obliterate the region's power plants, oil wells, and the main export hub, Kharg Island, if negotiations fell through. Trump noted, however, the deal was probably close. The United States of America is in serious discussion with a new and more reasonable regime to end our military operations in Tehran. Great progress has been made. But if for any reason the deal is not shortly reached, which it probably will be, and the Strait of Hormuz is not immediately open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all the electric generating plants, oil wells, in Kharg Island. Yes. Right now, you can get enough energy to run LED lights and maybe a cell phone for free. One moron with ultimate free energy could be an issue. Yes. The threatening only goes so far, but not enough to run an electric heater. Yeah, that's wrong. Trump said the U.S. purposefully hadn't touched the sites after having previously given an April 6th deadline to Iran. This will be a retribution for many soldiers and others that Iran has butchered and killed over the old regime's 47-year reign of terror. Yeah. Reign of terror. Rain on me. The renewed threat came just hours after Trump said the U.S. was negotiating directly and indirectly with Iran. And directly and indirectly. He flagged the possibility, too, of taking Iran's oil, a move that would require seizing Kharg Island. We have a lot of options. We talked about all this stuff. Yes, got a lot of options. Lot of options. We also got this story. It says Trump weighs sending U.S. forces to seize Iran's highly enriched uranium stockpile. Got the lithium battery for that. Okay. What's worse, a short atheist rocket man or a radical Islamist hardliner? Probably a radical Islamist hardliner. Heavy-duty converter. Okay. Says L.A. County leads a nation in population decline. The reporter seems confused as to they are leaving for Mexico or not. I am not confused. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. SB Farmer. Okay, we'll do this real quick. Okay, hold on. We'll do this first before we do this one.
New census data shows Los Angeles County had the largest population decline in the nation last year. Nearly 54,000 residents moved out, continuing a multi-year downward trend. NTD's Christina Corona has the details.
Los Angeles County saw the largest population decline in the U.S. in 2025, according to new U.S. Census data released March 26, with thousands of people leaving in just 1 year.
Nearly 54,000 people moved out of Los Angeles County between July 2024 and July 2025. This continues a trend that's been building for years. The population has dropped from more than 10 million in 2020 to just under 9.7 million, census estimates show. It's unclear where many of those residents are going. One LA County resident who asked to not be on camera said she believes that many people are leaving because they can no longer afford to rent or buy. She said homeowners ownership now feels out of reach. But nearby, Riverside and San Bernardino counties gained more than 21,000 people combined. The Las Vegas area also added more than 21,000 residents last year. Despite the decline, LA County remains the most populous in the nation, nearly double the size of the next largest, Cook County, Illinois, with about 5.2 million residents.
Yeah, Cook County's been losing people too. By move out, they mean die of drug overdose. Rodney says he's got a Patriot solar generator, nice and silent with panels. The access to a creek and 20 to 50 feet of elevation, you can get free energy. But yeah, you can just have water running over stuff. Greg says, thank you. Awesome stream. Beautiful Cat says, hi, Bella. What's up? Awesome. Nothing to do with ice. Yeah. Yes. So we have this. There is something else I wanted to cover tonight real quick. Something happened. We're going to look at two videos. Let me do this. Observers. Videos. We're going to watch two videos. First one, this one.
Good morning, folks. It is Monday, March 30th, 2026, and it's a short update this morning because I am entering work mode. As the video title says, we just took an X-class solar flare and the Riger cycle solar uptick we have forecast since the end of January has arrived. Sunspot number is surging. The flaring crept up into M-class range the last week, and now we've got the X-class event. The eruption was long duration, and coronal clearing indicates a wide burst CME. That is exactly what we've got on SOHO. Clear to see that there is a full halo eruption, even though it emerged first from the 8 o'clock position on the central coronagraph blocking disk. That is an Earth-directed CME. It will likely arrive on Wednesday, but I'm doing deeper analysis all day today. We're going to await Enlil spiral updates, and I'll come...
Why this is important and I wanted to cover is because this X-class solar flare and where it's positioned right now, and we're going to get hit by this... I'm going to play the next thing. They did it. Funny we were talking about grid down. Yeah. That's why it made me think of this. Because this sunspot is pretty big, and it's going to be aiming directly at us for the next few days. So we're going to see, if it does anything else, could be interesting.
Back this afternoon to break it all down once we know more. Solar storms on deck this week. A good reminder that time is short and we need to be preparing. 10%.
Okay. So we got this one, and then I'm going to go back and we're going to do this. All right, go back. And then this was just...
Hey folks, it is midday and the space weather teams at NOAA and NASA did not sleep in. They have both analyzed the X-class solar flare from this morning, and here we will see the official forecast from them, Dr. Phillips, and myself. Coronagraphs up next. Full halo CME there, the far leading component, will impact Earth tomorrow night. You can see that as that sunspot turns a bit more, its eruptions will be directly facing Earth as opposed to just partially. As for impact timing, both models agree here. NOAA's Enlil spiral shows that timing, but with the impact being relatively sparse and at the very edge of the plasma shockwave. I think this ignores the coronagraph showing the breadth of the CME to the west. Meanwhile, NASA shows a much more square-on impact. This more resembles the CME we saw on...
I see the yellow here right in the center at 0 degrees. That's the Earth. So when you see it coming in, it's going to blast us. So
SOHO. And again, timing is tomorrow night. For reference, Earth is the yellow dot in each of these panels. On the left, we are looking down on the solar system from the north. In the middle, we're on the solar system equator, about 2 months behind Earth's orbit, looking at the Earth with the sun off to the left. And that far right panel should be made horizontal, so let me do that here. This pretends you are directly behind the Earth so that the Earth sits between the viewer and the sun, and that splash effect shows what is impacted by the CME. In this case, Earth is correctly in the CME splash zone. NOAA is forecasting G2 solar storms. Dr. Tony Phillips and his NASA colleagues think it could go to G3. I am predicting G3 with potential for G4 if the solar wind magnetic field is pointed south for long enough. Updates coming in the morning. Be safe, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to cover that today to show you if it gets up to G3, high G3s, G4s, Wednesday, they're saying like Wednesday night or tomorrow night or Wednesday. It's possible we could see some good, really good aurora borealis, northern lights, pretty far down in the U.S. You might be able to see it all the way down into like Alabama or, Texas, stuff like that, Florida, areas of Florida, or even maybe further south. I don't know. Yes, that's right. Man-made climate change is the biggest grift ever. That's what I think. I mean, I don't buy it. Jim, if we go at night to the sun, can we put a shield around it and not worry about this? Not bad for a high school graduate. I'd be smart. Yeah. Well, that's what I said. That's the, that's what, that was always the thing about the, you're out. I will be lurking while working. How's this? You're out? What's wrong, Rocky? You quit? What does that mean? This interface sucks? I don't know what that means. You're out of what? What are you out of? What you out of? All right, we're going to jump back into this story here. It says Donald Trump is seriously weighing a military operation to extract nearly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium from Iran, insisting Tehran must surrender what he calls the regime's nuclear dust or face annihilation. According to a report published Sunday night, the Wall Street Journal reported Trump has not made a final decision, but remains open to a risky mission that could place American forces inside Iran for days or longer to secure the material he has made clear Tehran cannot be allowed to keep. Yes, that's right. They cannot be allowed to keep. Trump reinforced that position hours later aboard Air Force One, warning that Iran must do what the United States demands or they're not going to have a country left. This interface has lost me. You're talking about Rumble? Rumble's interface? I don't know. It's kind of very clunky, I think. And they're going to give us the nuclear dust. And then Aaron Rupert, this idiot, says, they're going to have to give up their nuclear weapons. They're going to give us nuclear dust. They're going to have to do everything we want. Yeah. Okay.
They are decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to do everything that we want to do. And you know what? They're going to go on and maybe have a great country again. But if they don't do that, they're not going to have a country. They're not even going to have a country. So she's softer on that issue, but I have other people, not too many.
Reports that Trump encouraged advisors to press Iran to hand over the material as part of any settlement ending the conflict, while also discussing the possibility of taking it by force if Tehran refuses. It has sabotaged it too many times. Apparently, better than internet money, the inventor of it left for the weather. Gore is filthy rich. Yeah, that's Al Gore left. He created the internet supposedly, and then went for climate change, and now he's filthy rich. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and General Dan Raising-Kane will hold a press conference tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'm imagining it's going to be worth watching tomorrow. Do it. We'll have cake. All right. I believe there are dynamic balancers of the Earth. Earth tilts too much, they melt. Earth straightens up, they freeze. Oh, ice caps have been melting and refreezing for centuries. Well, for more than centuries. You're talking about we've had ice. We're coming out of an ice age. They knew we were coming out of an ice age. If we're going into an ice age, that would be very bad. Way more people would die. So they know there's times in the past that all the ice caps melted, that there was no ice anywhere at all. Yeah, how can the ice caps melt thousands of years ago? What kind of cars did the people drive? Well, that's the thing. They don't want to explain it to us. They don't want to explain it to us. How we went from having, like, how did the massive glaciers on top, what caused the massive glaciers on top of the North America and Europe to melt? The 2 mile thick sheets of ice that were on top. What caused, what kind of cars were those? Nuclear cars or something? China has on clay tablets where the earth tilted 6 degrees overnight. Well, that's kind of also in the Bible and stuff like that, about talking about the earth stopping to spin or whatever, earth standing still and something turning over, and all this kind of stuff is kind of crazy. Polar flip. Yeah, there's all types of stuff. We're in the middle of a polar excursion, magnetic pole excursion. It's moving. Late 1800, Krakatoa put in the atmosphere so much more than the whole Industrial Revolution. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't ever want to talk about one single volcanic eruption puts more of the crap that they're talking about into the atmosphere than like all the cars for a year or more. When people not stand up for their unalienable rights, whether Congress, county recognizes it or not, people must still demand. Yeah. Impacts are very violent. We've had very violent past. Oh, yeah, Mount St. Helens, too. Yeah, Mount St. Helens did a lot of damage. Yes. Lucy, they got some splaining to do. It's the end times, baby. Get faith. Yeah, well, could be. Even so, Trump continued Sunday night to signal he still sees a possible diplomatic off-ramp. Says it's possible. Says it's possible. Says it's possible. Could be possible. Maybe possible. Maybe not. What the hell? I just got a message. Are the ads on or just my feed? No, they shouldn't be on. They shouldn't be on. I don't think the ad should be on. Let me look. I don't think they're on. Someone just messaged me. No, they're not on. If you're still getting ads, there's something going on because they've been off the whole time. I shut them off right away. I had a trailer, but it tipped over in the Bible, in the Bible. Sun going backwards in the sky. Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. You never know with Iran. Still, the Journal reported that any effort to seize the uranium militarily would rank among the most dangerous operations under consideration, with former U.S. military officials and nuclear experts warning the mission could trigger retaliation, prolonged conflict, and require combat troops, engineers, specialized transport teams, and makeshift airfield operations inside hostile territory. Teams would likely need to fly in heavily defended sites, secure material under threat of Iranian missiles, drones, and ground fire, and transport it out under tightly controlled conditions. A complex operation could take days or longer. Let's see. Doc says Trump has been telling us since the 80s what he would do to Iran. Well, I think he has. I believe he has. International Atomic Energy Agency Director General Rafael Grossi has said he believes that most of the uranium is located at 2 of the 3 sites struck by the United States and Israel last June, an underground tunnel complex of Isfahan and a cache at Natanz. Before those strikes, Iran was believed to possess more than 400 kilograms. 400 kilograms. Roughly 880 pounds of uranium enriched to 60%. Yes, they have to dilute the uranium. Jim is a fast reader. I not even comprehend words, let alone read that fast. I'm sorry. I'll try to slow down. You ever wonder why the #1 grifter Gore chose the title Inconvenient Truth instead of Inconvenient Facts? Like Dementia Joe says, I prefer my truth over facts. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am thinking all the bombardment on Earth right now is shaking up magma. Magma. Yes, it could be. A lot of these things do, like I don't know. I see a correlation between these plasma and solar wind. Is basically the entire universe is an electrical circuit, and all these things that happen increase the charge, decrease the charge on the Earth, and then the Earth itself is like a capacitor. That's why we have lightning and stuff discharging all this stuff. And so these things happening will cause other stuff to happen. And if it gets charged up enough, I think you could really get some good shakers, or you could cause basically liquefaction or whatever you want to call it of, the ground beneath our feet. Along with 200 kilograms of 20% fissile material, experts have warned that the 60% stockpile can be rapidly enriched to weapons grade. Says, no worries, Jim. I will catch up. Thank you. The concern has been sharpened by failed diplomacy leading up to the current operation. President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, said Iranian negotiators made clear during talks that Tehran would not relinquish its enrichment program, insisting it would not give up diplomatically what the United States could not take militarily. Well, we're going to see. The Earth doesn't care about us. If the planet wanted us gone, no one will be around tomorrow. Just live and enjoy. Yes. Lightning comes from the ground. Well, yeah, it's like the Earth's a capacitor, so it goes from the ground up to space. Where's it going in space? That's the question. Witkoff added that Iranians have also boasted about their enriched uranium stockpile and its potential weapons capabilities. Go to Dutch-Cincy for earthquake news. Why do you think Australia, Japan, Spain are sitting out the Iran conflict? Are their navy in as bad shape as UK? No, I don't think Japan is sitting it out per se. Australia and Spain are controlled by wackadoo leftists. So,
from them, the Iranians have the inalienable right to enrich. Then we heard They possessed enough 60% enriched material, 460 kilograms, to make 11 atomic bombs. Finally, we heard the following statement. They would not give up diplomatically what we could not win militarily. In other words, they were again miscalculating the success of Midnight Hammer, which was a total success. These are incontrovertible signs, among many other signs, sir, that their regime had not given their negotiating team authority to make a deal required by you. We can.
That's interesting. That's interesting, right? The journal further noted Iran retained centrifuges needed to enrich the uranium further, as well as the capability to establish new underground enrichment sites, meaning the existing stockpile could be used to produce multiple nuclear weapons if left intact. The material itself is believed to be stored in dozens of specialized cylinders resembling scuba tanks that would need to be placed into transportation casks and removed under tightly secured conditions, a process experts say could take days or even a week. This is not a quick in and out kind of deal, said retired General Joseph Votel, former commander of U.S. Central Command and U.S. Special Operations Command, told the outlet. Votel also told Breitbart earlier this month that preventing Iran from rebuilding its nuclear program will ultimately require the regime to relinquish control of the material and allow an outside authority to take custody of it. I mean, we told them that we would give them all the nuclear material they needed for civilian purposes, that we would supply them with everything they need for, nuclear power plants if that's what they want, that they don't need to enrich anything, that we'd give it to them. It says, what stream were you on this afternoon, in and out of streams today? I was not on the stream this afternoon at all. I mean, I was watching some streams. I watched Robert Gavea, some other stuff, but I started the stream and then canceled it because some things didn't work out the way earlier. That was at 7 o'clock. Render Seller and the P. Little Triggs. Ultimately, regime leadership has to be compelled or convinced to give up its pursuit, and they need to allow a cognizant authority to come in and take control of the HEU and verify the highly enriched uranium and verify the program is shut down. While he noted that this could be done by the U.S. military, he added it would probably be better through the IAEA with support and perhaps of some others. Says, what's it say? Roof Rayet Star, WR102. Oh, crap, I was born at 102, supposedly, when they decided to write the time, but I'm no wolf. Huh, okay. I was watching Gavea. Yeah, he's awesome. I hate this interface. Okay. You don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side. Oh.
The real reason you're stiff after sitting.
Wow, look at this crap.
You can live a very long time with. Pope Leo is calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East and to reopen dialogue. What do you say to the Pope?
Well, look, we can have dialogue, but I don't want to do a ceasefire. You don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. They don't have any equipment. They don't have any spotters. They don't have anti-aircraft. They don't have radar. And their leaders have all been killed at every level.
Wow, the leaders have.
We're not looking to do that.
We're not looking to do that. So there's that with that. And then here, this is what Donald Trump said. This interview is in 1987.
Because I'm running for the presidency. I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do we mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
How
gonna have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran. Because I'm running for the presidency.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. The extra time he's given Iran is more for resupply our stuff more than anything. Well, they've also, I think there's been a whole bunch of stuff coming to Iran from China, so I think this is dumb. They should stop China from flying in resupply stuff to Iran, too. He's not changed his views very much. No, not at all. have dialogue about how bad they are getting theirs kicked. Yeah, that's what I say.
See, I'm here because.
All right, that's what I say. Let's this story says oil slides as Trump told aides he's willing to end the war without reopening Hormuz. And he's the most consistent politician in our history, including Washington. The man has great truth. Yeah, he's been saying it for a long time. Iran rejects excessive illogical demands. Iran struck a fully laden Kuwaiti oil tanker in Dubai. He told the aides he's willing to end the war without reopening. The White House seriously considering ground operations to seize Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. The Bazan oil refinery in Israel's northern city of Haifa is currently on fire. And Iran accuses Israel of more false flags. Well, that's what they're saying. This says Donald Trump weighs plan to steal uranium from Iran. President's also suggested an idea of Carg Island. All right, well. And this says the IDF strikes targets over 1,600 kilometers away, drops over 80 explosives on Tehran weapons production sites. Yeah, it's why all the career people hate his guts, Republicans and demon rats both. I saw that. Should have blown the plane out of the sky. China's, yes. The global elites always use munitions and war to increase their wealth. Yes, they do, Ray. That's true. They do. They totally do. According to IDF, over 80 munitions were dropped on a weapons production, research, and development sites responsible for creating weapons used to attack Israel. I can't talk, apparently. Rocky, what are you talking about? You're talking. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't understand what you mean. You're talking fine. I see what you're saying. I've been pulling it up. When you break it down, the lowest denominator, that's why they hate him. Can't call him compromised or inconsistent. Oh, Trump sucks. Oh, well, sorry you feel that way. The IDF struck Iranian air defense sites over 1,600 kilometers away from Israel. The sites located in northern Iran near the Caspian Sea have been concealed within a forested area. Separately, the military said on Monday night that they completed a wide-scale wave of strikes targeting infrastructure belonging to Iran's regime in Tehran. The kitty's trying to sneak out again. Separately, the military said on Monday night that it completed a wide-scale wave of strikes. So according to a military statement, over 80 missiles were dropped on weapons things. Among the sites targeted were facilities that assembled and manufactured long-range surface-to-air missiles, components for anti-tank and small anti-aircraft missiles, and ballistic missile engines. Law, one can't listen. I'm slow, so I don't know what you mean. Am I not talking? Is it not hearing me? The IDF also announced on Monday that it struck several pieces of IRGC infrastructure located within Imam Hussein University, the primary military institution for the regime. I didn't mean the flag or the other trash that was typed. The interface is effing me. Okay. According to the IDF, the university has been used as civilian cover for a variety of military goals, including development and research of advanced weaponry. Among the targets struck during the attack on the university were wind tunnels used for testing ballistic missiles, the university's chemical center used for development of chemical weapons, and the technology and engineering center of the mechanics and development group. All the people that were betting against the U.S. hate Trump. Okay. The IDF also stated that several countries already sanctioned the university and its senior officials due to its affiliation with the IRGC. IDF strikes Iran's military defense site. The Israeli Air Force struck Iranian weapons manufacturing sites in Tehran overnight. Additional targets include various weapons production and storage facilities, as well as a drone engine production facility. On Sunday, power outages were reported in Tehran and Karaj after an attack targeted a high-voltage tower in Al-Bor province. Well, I will tell you this. This is what you want to watch for, all right? If you see them using any type of graphite bombs, blackout bombs, whatever you want to call them, the ones that knock out the electricity. If you see those being used, that means shit's about to get real and ground troops are going to be used somewhere, because that's the first thing they will do to knock those out. Kitty, what are you doing? I don't know what this cat's doing. It says it's going out. You're okay, Jim. It's me with others not trying to understand. Okay, I don't know what that means. When you sign your income tax form, you're agreeing to a contract to join. Okay, phosphorus. No. Well, if they use Willie Pete, that'll be funny because that's just bringing it down. But they're supposed to, they have like these graphite bombs. They're called blackout bombs that some kind of carbon fiber or carbide, graphite, and it's supposed to short everything out. You have a cat? Yeah, I saw the cat was on screen earlier today. She's in here in the room. She came into the room and she won't leave. She's been messing with the dog. The dog chased her. You missed it. You got to rewind it. The dog chased the cat. The cat wasn't. Cat. Yeah, it's been things going on. Lots of stuff going on here. Lots of stuff going on here. Lots of stuff going on here. All right, now this is something, I don't know if this is in English or not, so we're going to see here. This doesn't seem, I don't hear any sound. You guys hear sound? This is an illustration of what they did. I don't hear any sound. Okay, well, that was it. All right. Alrighty then, let's do this. I do have a bunch of more tabs I can open, but I have some bookmarks I'd like to go over. I have let me pull some of this real quick. Bookmarks. We got this. This one I was supposed to pull this up about the birthright citizenship stuff, and I forgot. I'm sorry. It says Senator who helped write birthright citizenship clause specifically said it doesn't include aliens. Senator who helped write birthright citizenship clause said it didn't include aliens. The modern claim that the 14th Amendment citizenship guarantee automatically grants citizenship to children of people who break into the country would have been unimaginable to the men who wrote it. On Friday, the Supreme Court agreed to review the case and could finally force a long overdue reckoning with how the 14th Amendment citizenship clause has been interpreted. Demon rats have responded to the Supreme Court's decision to hear the case as expected. For more than 150 years, our Congress has spoken plainly. Everyone born on American soil has an equal claim. That's not what it says, Mr. Raja Krishnamurthy. Maybe you should go back to where the fuck you came from. New York Attorney General Letitia James posted, birthright citizenship is a fundamental right of our Constitution. Well, it's not true. Former California Rep. Katie Porter said, birthright citizenship literally written in the Constitution. It's not what it says. But birthright citizenship is not literally written into the Constitution, and the framers of the amendment would likely be aghast at how their work has been exploited. The 14th Amendment was written to guarantee citizenship to formerly enslaved Americans and their children. To that end, the first sentence reads, all persons born and naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens, but it surely was not intended to be a blanket citizenship grant. Senator Benjamin Wade introduced the citizenship clause, believing that the amendment needed a clear definition of citizenship because the broader guarantees of the 14th Amendment depended on it. Wade originally proposed using the language person born in the United States or naturalized by the laws thereof, but language may have lent slightly more credence to the left's claim that anyone born here is a citizen, but that's not what the amendment says. In fact, Senator Jacob Howard, upon receiving Wade's proposal, added subject to the jurisdiction clause. As Edward Erler points out in his book, The United States in Crisis, the additional meant at a minimum that not all persons born in the United States were automatically citizens. Was longevity already established? I don't know. During the debate, Howard said during opening remarks, I do not propose to say anything on the subject except that the question of citizenship has been so fully discussed in this body that we don't need further elucidation, in my opinion. This amendment, which I've offered, is simply declaring that what I regard as the law of the land already, that every person born within the limits and subject to jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law a national citizen of the United States. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens, who belong to families of ambassadors and all that stuff. So yeah, we kind of covered this already. So I'm going to go skip back. I'm going to skip it back. Skibbity back. Skibbity back. Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. Here we go. This is a good story here. He said, I hope you're sitting down. But the whole non-U.S. citizens becoming police officers in California didn't work out so well. after Gavin Newsom signed SB 960 in 2022, which allows non-U.S. citizens to become police officers in California. So how do you feel about that? You're being policed by illegal aliens and non-citizens. So non-Americans are policing you as Americans. Belmont police officer Felipe Gomez, a Brazilian citizen with a history of domestic violence, was arrested for rape of someone unable to give consent due to a mental disorder. Huh. You don't say. You don't say. Huh.
Last week, Redwood City Police arrested Gomes at the Belmont Police Headquarters on Penal Code 261A1, rape of someone who was incapable of giving legal consent due to a mental disorder. Before he hired Gomes, the I-Team has learned that Chief Stenquist received phone calls from the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office and East Palo Alto Police warning him that both agencies had rejected Gomes because of his domestic violence arrest in 2017.
When a department head calls you and says something's wrong, take a closer look, or don't hire someone, you should take a closer look.
Court records show that Gomes and his wife were on vacation from their home in Brazil at this Ramada Inn in Kissimmee, Florida. The charging affidavit says they'd been married a year when Gomes spotted texts on his wife's cell phone from an ex-boyfriend and that he struck her repeatedly in the face and stomach. An officer wrote that he observed a large bruise that covered most of his wife's left cheek and scratches to her right cheek. The records say Gomes accused her of hitting and scratching him first, so the state attorney charged both of them with battery domestic violence before dropping the charges a month later. Belmont Chief Stenquist defended hiring Gomes, emailing me, past law enforcement contact that does not result in charges are not disqualifying in of itself under policies or applicable law.
In these special victim domestic violence
100%,
cases, they're often, the charges are dropped. They're dropped because the victims have a change of heart, any number of reasons.
Former San Francisco police commander and head of recruitment Rich Correa tells me the incident should be disqualifying, even though the case was dropped.
You don't want someone who, in a family setting, violence is a place they can escalate to. You want just the opposite. You want natural de-escalators.
Law enforcement sources also tell me Felipe Gomes is not a U.S. citizen. SB 960, sponsored by former state senator Nancy Skinner, allows immigrants to be officers if they have a green card, visa, or permanent residency. Gomes is here on a work permit.
You must be a person who's legally authorized to work, so you have that legal paperwork. And then in California, if this bill passes, you would be able to be a sworn officer.
Governor Gavin Newsom signed the bill in September 2022. Rich Correa tells me a newly arrived immigrant has lots to learn about our system of justice and civil rights.
You better make sure that you are hiring people that get the many nuances of the role of a police officer. There's no one else, as far as I know, in our entire society that carries a gun and has the authority to shoot you under certain circumstances.
Wow, that's very interesting, isn't it? Why would we allow these people to do this? Why? What is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? That is crazy, isn't it? That's just crazy, 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 crazy. I can't believe it. I don't know what's going on here. It's just driving me crazy. It's driving me mad. It's maddening. Maddening, I say. Maddening. Maddening. Maddening, maddening, maddening. Maddening, maddening, maddening. Yes, we need Judge Dredd. Yes, we do. He fixed it. Yeah, well, I was. Thanks, Jim. No problem. I'm going to go for a change of address. Jim's on the case, Terry. Yeah, I was putting it out because the cat was acting like she was going to run past, so I was leaving it on so you could see the cat run past. That's why I blew it out like that. But she keeps just screwing around here right here and messing around. So don't hire people still wearing masks. I agree. I agree. I agree. And it's a proposed bill would ban ICE agents from teaching and policing jobs in California. Oh, well, yeah, but they'll let non-citizens be cops, but they won't let ICE in them. Huh.
The disqualification would be automatic, regardless. The disqualification would be automatic, regardless of an individual's personal conduct or lack of a criminal record. Opponents of this bill call it discriminatory and say it could worsen staffing shortages in California's police departments and schools. Legal experts questioning whether it would violate federal labor protections or constitutional due process. The bill is scheduled for its first committee hearing later this month. The disqualification.
Kevin, the cat, I've talked about the cat before. I can't help it, you didn't pay attention. I've had a cat for over 12 years now. It's done to demoralize and cheapen U.S. citizens and citizenship. Yeah. It's impressive the damage New Scum has done in that state, but the majority of women voted for him because he's good looking, and I don't see it, but okay, but some of the damage might be permanent. Yes, it is. Federal funds need to go bye-bye. We have delegated to cops the right to kidnap and kill people, rights we ourselves do not have. Hell of a trick. It's crazy, right? It is. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane. It is. Oh, the app, Rocky. Are you using the app? If you're using the app on a phone, man, that's why you're having problems. It's that the interface on the app sucks. Sucks. I will say. I'm gonna say. We got this. Secretary Rubio says if NATO is just about us defending Europe if they're attacked, but them denying us basic rights when we need them, then it's not a very good arrangement. Let's see what Rubio has to say. We've got a couple of things by Rubio here we're going to play.
And I've been a big supporter of NATO. And one of the reasons why I've been a supporter of NATO is because I believe that these basing rights give us leverage and give us flexibility and operational capability all over the world. But if NATO is just about us defending Europe if they're attacked, but them denying us basing rights when we need them, that's not a very good arrangement. That's a hard one to stay engaged in and say this is good for the United States. So all of them's going to have to be re-examined. All of it's going to have to be re-examined. It's
all going to have to be re-examined. Oh, yeah. Here's another book. It says, Asian guy gets 5 years in prison and literally never touched George Floyd. Black guy gets a suspended sentence for murdering an Asian grandpa. A Somali immigrant gets 1 year for defrauding $250 million from taxpayers. Yeah, I thought the system was biased. That's right. So here's Rubio just eviscerated Spain's leftist government. All right, here we go.
I think it was very disappointing. You have this, and again, look, the president and our country will have to re-examine all of this after this operation is over. But one of the reasons why NATO is beneficial to the United States is it gives us basing rights for contingencies. It allows us to station troops and aircraft and weapons and in parts of the world that we would normally have bases. And that includes in much of Europe. And to see that in a time of need, the United States has identified a grave risk to our national security and our national interests, and we needed to conduct this operation. And we have countries like Spain, a NATO member, that we are pledged to defend, denying us the use of their airspace and bragging about it, denying us the use of their bases. And there are other countries that have done that as well. And so you ask yourself, well, what is in it for the United States? I think it was very...
Yeah, that's just the guy who hit that old Asian dude and killed him. The judge said, oh, I don't want to send him to jail. Just let him go. Give him probation or something like that. Trump returned U.S. back to common law. That's what I say. A treatise on arrest and false imprisonment by Charles A. Weissman. Yeah, notes police abuse corrupt governments. Yeah, well, that's what I say. Oh, here's Swalwell doing his thing. Check this out. While drinking beer, Fidel Castro's grandson says he's a capitalist and says if it were up to him, he would welcome a deal with President Trump. So this is Fidel Castro's grandson, all right?
We actually would welcome, he says, speaking for himself, a deal with Donald Trump. I don't like his threats, is what he told me. But if he opens up the island, if he improves the economy here, then it could all work out for the best. And so
wow,
listen to this.
I was going to say this Fidel Castro's grandson sure looks like he lives in a nice place. Doesn't look like it's a slum or nothing. Got electricity and everything. I was there, 88. You're welcome. Yeah. That's what I hear. The real problem they have in a browser, I'm not a cheap Chromebook, is mod tools. There's no delete for comments below the video, only permaban. Yeah, it's a problem.
Conversation, which was more than a little surprising. What would your grandfather, Fidel Castro, say that you're more capitalist than communist?
My grandfather was a person who had his principles like everyone else, but he also respected others' opinions. That's my way of thinking.
But all the capitalists had to leave Cuba.
There are many people in Cuba that think in a capitalistic way. There are many people here who want to have capitalism with sovereignty.
When we arrived for the interview, the neighborhood Castro lives in is in a blackout, a near constant condition these days with the U.S. oil blockade and power plants breaking down. Sandro Castro's apartment is lit by an electric generator. But from his balcony, the surrounding houses are in near total darkness.
So see, he has electricity. Castro's grandson has electricity, but no one else does. Wow, what do you say? That's pretty commie of him. Yeah, notice the lights? Oh, yeah, he's a commie. Makes sense now. Oh, yeah. That's what they do with the Chromebooks. Never deal with communists. No, there's only one way to deal with the communists, Hank. It involves a helicopter. You just give them a ride wherever they want to go. Free rides, wherever they want to go. Cuba next. That's what they say. Cuba is next.
He shows me his one-bedroom bachelor pad, how he lacks paint for the wall, how his fridge is nearly empty, except for the Cuban beer he's always drinking. I point out that the appliance is a foreign brand that most Cubans could never hope to afford. His famous last name, Sandro Castro wants people to know, doesn't come with any special treatment in a Cuba.
Bullshit, it doesn't come with any special treatment. Where's he getting the fuel? Look at this place. No special treatment, your ass. No special treatment, your ass. Joe says having a generator is not the problem. It's how he's getting fuel to run it. Yeah, where's he getting the fuel? Having a generator and fuel is very capitalistic. Yeah.
On the edge of economic collapse.
Hay que luchar como decimos todos los cubanos. Es duro, es duro.
Even for a Castro, hasta para un Castro es duro.
Durísimo, porque sufres con miles de dificultades. Lo mismo un día no puedo ver luz, no puedo haber agua, no puedo llegar una mercancía, es duro.
But being a Castro must help you.
Mi apellido es mi apellido, yo orgulloso de mi apellido, lógicamente, pero no veo esa ayuda que usted me está diciendo en ese preámbulo. Yo soy como un ciudadano más.
Fucking CNN, man, doing fucking photo ops for fucking commies. The Trump DOJ has now referred tens of thousands of potential non-citizens on state voter rolls for investigation. AAG Harmeet Dillon. There are quite a few people on the rolls illegally and who voted. Harmeet Dillon.
Democrats like Booker told us for years that there were no illegals voting in America, but if you're shrinking the rolls by 5 to 10%, seems like there are some illegals on those rolls, and B, are very accomplished women like you so clueless that you can't figure out how to get a photo ID? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is not really a problem for any American. Every American can go and get an ID. It's really not difficult, and in fact, over the years, states that have required ID to vote have also made it free for people to be able to get IDs at the state level. So this is a red herring. It's just kind of fake scaremongering. And you're correct about the second point regarding illegal aliens on the voter rolls. We've only been able to cleanse, with the help of cooperative states, between 55 and 60 million voter records so far, but we've referred tens of thousands of potential illegal aliens to our federal officials to further investigate. And now every time you have one of these cases, you want to make sure you're interviewing people and making sure there isn't a common name or something like that, so we aren't going after the wrong person. But once we're through with that, I think you're going to find there are quite a few people who are on the rolls illegally and who voted. And Democrats do tell us that never happens, and it absolutely happens.
Wow, that's crazy. It absolutely happened. Here's Swalwell's upset about the Fang files being released.
Working on behalf. So my ask right now of the men and women in the building behind me, working on behalf of the great people of California and our country is this. Always speak the truth, even when it's hard. Come forward if you see abuse. You will be protected. And I want you to know this. Democrats will be in the majority in about 9 months. And when we control the House of Representatives after the midterms, anyone on any level who has done wrong to you, who has pressured you to do something you know you should not do, they will be dragged by my colleagues into a hearing. And
wait a minute, he's going to drag them? They're going to physically assault and drag people? Oh my God, he's calling for violence. Just denounce him. He's calling for violence. They're going to grab people and drag them by their hair, by their necks. Oh my God. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, use your rights, file suit. This is nuts, man. This is nuts. Why would he say these things? Why are these people all Asian standing there next to him? It's weird, isn't it? Look at all over here. These are people all Asians. And yet he was with a communist spy, and these look all like communists to this side. It's nuts. Here it is. Here's meet Nancy Brissell, the U.S. District Judge who sentenced feeding our future fraudster Abdul Abukal Ali to only 1 year in prison because he showed genuine remorse for his crimes. Steal millions, gets caught, says sorry, only gets 1 year in prison. Yeah, this woman gave the guy who stole $250 million 1 year in prison because he said sorry. He needs to be denaturalized. This guy needs to be deported right here. Look at him. He thinks it's funny. I think we're a fucking joke. Look at this. A predictable pattern. 2022, beat a 16-year-old and pistol whipped him. 2023, punched a woman and knocked out her teeth. 2024, resisted arrest while armed. Goes on to shoot a 2-year-old in the head over a cell phone. But why are judges letting these people back out? Well, let's see. Very interesting story here.
Rots in hell. Get what you deserve. Where are you going? You need to die from what you did.
Raw anger from a family now living a nightmare. Just before midnight Sunday, police were called to Valencia Apartments on LaBelle Street, where police say 2-year-old Amari Robinson was shot in the head. Authorities say he was rushed to the hospital but did not survive. According to an arrest report, the shooting happened after an argument over a phone. The report goes on to say the suspect and another person went into a bedroom, and minutes later, a witness heard a loud pop.
He took our life away from us. And we his family, it's hurting because that baby didn't deserve none of that.
Police say the search for Dodson lasted nearly 24 hours. On Monday, authorities tracked him down at Vista Landing Apartments on Cleveland Road. The family says Amari's mother is struggling to process what she saw.
She held her baby forward. I don't know what she went through.
Court records show this was not Dodson's first run-in with the law. In 2022, he was accused of beating a 16-year-old and brandishing a gun. Months later, he was arrested for domestic battery after police say he punched a woman, knocking out her 2 front teeth. He served time and was later sentenced again after investigators say he ran from officers while carrying a gun. He was released from prison in November. Now, 4 months later, he's charged in this shooting.
My sister, you took what her heart did. She can't even sign a piece of paper. She can't eat.
Now, instead of watching him grow, the family clings to memories they have.
And that's how we going to remember our butt. That's what we call him, butt.
Wow, butt. Wow, okay. Yeah, whenever the demon rats want to tell the whopper lies, they drag out Shifty Shift, Dan Goldblum, the Levi heiress, Ratskin, or the Fang Swallowwell. Yes, and it reminds me of stories from Chicago. Yeah, night stories of Chicago. This is it, man. Yeah. Both sides depend on nothing being settled. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Zeke Ironman says, oh yeah, I went to Alabama for FEMA training a while back, thought the Klan would be right there waiting for me as I got off the plane. Turned out to be one of the friendliest places I've ever been. Sat and had dinner with the sheriff's department from Mississippi when I had to work in that state. I don't think I'd ever laughed so hard in my life. Almost all of them had Confederate flag tattoos but treated me like a brother. Meanwhile, I've faced more racism, prejudice, and hate from leftists who swear they're the most tolerant, open-minded, coexist people out there. I think in the New Scum household, their kids didn't have to leave their house in order to learn about racism, sexism, bullying. That's because in 2023, Gavin Newscomb did what he called a red state tour and visited Alabama, Florida, and a few other states. Newscomb's wife said she brought her children there to learn about what? Let's see. What did Newscomb's wife say?
You took your 4 kids on this trip. You're here in Alabama now. Why was it important to you to take them on this trip to red states and learn about the history in our country?
That's a great question. Well, I don't think, or I know for a fact that we don't get all of this history in our schools. And it's part of, enlivening them, building their curiosity, expanding their hearts, their empathy, so that they themselves can be the change they wish to see in the world and recognize that, we have work to do and that we have healing to do. And so that they can be, use their voices to stand up and speak out when they see pain and suffering and bullying and racism and misogyny around them. And
you want them to see it so that they know?
I do. I'm a truth seeker. They need to know the truth.
You took your 4 kids.
I wonder, was she seeking truth when she was screwing Harvey Weinstein for parts in movie roles? Because that's what she did. Yeah, she was banging Harvey Weinstein for roles, then complained about it years later. Very odd. Very, very, very odd. Let's see. Is there one more thing to cover here? There's residents in San Mateo County, California voice outrage over a drug treatment center being approved for a resident neighborhood near an elementary school. Democrat Supervisor Noel Corzo approved the funding despite huge pushback. When confronted by residents, she just leaves. Why did you approve this without knowing all the details? At one point, the supervisor walking away.
Recovery matters to me.
I know, but do you...
If there's a personal cost...
Are you okay with another location?
A heated community open house in San Mateo over a proposed substance abuse treatment center. Neighbors emotionally speaking out.
Hey, what's up, Rock Casma? Great to see you.
To find my home for my son. I do not have the ability to pick up and move when this all goes left.
Most look like our neighbors, family, and friends.
That's right.
You almost certainly know one. You might be one. Drug detox centers improve our community. Since we have lost our business centers that produce services.
Most of the neighbors here say they're not against treatment, just the current proposed location. Right now, the 69-bed Horizon Treatment Services facility would be located on 101 North El Camino Real near Cerrito Avenue, a residential neighborhood not far from an elementary school.
Oh, it's great. Put it right by the elementary school.
Noelia Corzo, who represents the area, facing a lot of heat for pushing the project forward.
I can guarantee you that if this were to be in another neighborhood, it would get similar pushback.
They've done it backwards. They've gone forward with this project without engaging the community.
Critics say Horizon Treatment Services and the supervisor should have gotten community feedback sooner.
I was not informed of any issues with this from anyone at all until we had the meeting in February.
Even this open house format, which the supervisor defended as a way for people to speak directly with experts, neighbors say was a way to disenfranchise them.
Why did you approve this without knowing all the details?
At one point, the supervisor walking away.
That was your way out. That was your way out.
By the end of the night, still no final decision on what happens next, but things calm down and people seem to find some common ground.
Yeah, common ground. Well, just they realize that their words mean nothing and they can't do shit. Well, everybody, I want to thank everybody who was here. Please remember, everyone, to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow night, I think I'm going to stream. I think it's going to be an early stream. I'm going to try to get rated by Robert Gavea and probably start at like 7-ish in the evening. Hopefully, it'll all work out. And I want to thank everybody who was here. And remember to come on back for Jim to tell you the news.